Chapter 803. It was already late at night. This city seemed to have never needed to worry about energy. Bright lights were everywhere, as if they had formed a dense net of light. There was wind blowing, but it didn't feel cold. The temperature of the city was artificially adjusted to a constant temperature. When Xiangyi went out, a fat man came up to her. Ee. Xiangyi took 2 seconds to react before she realized that he was calling her. She remained cautious and nodded. Or should I call you Tutu? The fat man laughed. I didn't expect us to have such fate. The world is really small. Xiangyi thanked him politely. Thank you for bailing me out. The fat man raised his eyebrows, feeling that the money wasn't wasted. This little girl wasn't incurable. When she spoke, she was gentle and polite. When she listened, she quietly looked into the other person's eyes. Her good points overshadowed her bad points. So much so that the fat man felt that her stealing was pardonable. After all, it wasn't easy for a girl in the slums to survive. He gestured towards Xiangyi. Let's go to my hover car first. Xiangyi didn't move. The fat man laughed. Still on guard against me? Fine, fine, fine. It's good for a girl to be cautious. Then I'll make it short. I watched your live broadcast and tasted your food. It's not bad. I won't pursue the matter of you stealing and bailing me out. How about it? Can you trust me now? Condition. A clear and calm voice. There was a hint of admiration in the fat brother's eyes. It's very simple. You can work for me as my chef, or you can use your culinary skills to promote my restaurant. In short, you just have to create something of equal value. Xiangyi understood. Okay, I understand. Then starting tomorrow morning, send me food. The fat man casually threw her a transparent chip. If you want to buy ingredients, just use it to pay. Don't save. The optical computer flashed. He didn't avoid Xiangyi and directly connected to the video call. After chatting with the person on the other side for a while, his face turned sour. His optical computer store was the largest in Star City, but recently a competitor had appeared. That competitor had gone on a crazy expansion model, snatching away a lot of his business. Tomorrow, a competitor was going to open a new store next to his store. Moreover, they had released news that a certain popular model of optical computer would be given an unprecedented discount. As soon as the news was released, there were already people lining up overnight. Sai, how can I attract people over? Do I have to fight a price war too? The more Fat Bro thought about it, the more worried he became. Once the price war started, it would be a fight to the death. Both sides would suffer. The more he sold, the more he would lose. If it's to attract people, perhaps I can give it a try. The girl's clear and steady voice sounded in his ears. Brother Fatty was stunned. What can you do? Live stream cooking? His eyes lit up. With her influence on the interplanetary network, it might actually work. Xiangyi replied with 2 words. It smells good. Fat Bro. Oh, can you be more specific? Xiangyi thought for a moment. For example, your impression of scrambled eggs with tomatoes is that it's sweet and sour. When the sweet and sour smell expands, you'll associate it with food. The most direct feeling is, I know, with rice. Brother Fatty rushed to answer. That's pretty much it. If you use the aroma of food to attract people, it might have the effect of attracting them. Chapter 804. Xiangyi briefly explained her thoughts. Fat Bro slapped his thigh and got someone to publicize it on the spot. Hence, on the Star Sector network, anyone who had followed Fat Bro's shop or bought goods received a push message. Fat Bro Technology V. There will be a small event tomorrow. Anyone who enters the shop will get a free snacks PS. It's comparable to the delicacies made by a 3-star chef. Regarding this, the netizens' reaction was just this. Come on, Feynman's shop is offering a full discount. A genuine discount can save you star coins. Isn't it much better than your snacks? Besides, if it's comparable to a 3-star chef, it probably means that this chef hasn't even obtained a 3-star honor badge. How much would the snacks made by such a chef be worth? Only a fool would choose Fat Bro's shop. However, there were also people who found a way to take advantage of it. They could first get free snacks from Fat Bro's shop, then go to Feynman's shop to buy an optical computer. They could enjoy the snacks and the discount. Wouldn't that be perfect? Once this point of view was posted, it received many likes from the netizens. Look, this is too quick-witted. We'll do this tomorrow. The next morning, as the boss of the new shop, Feynman specially invited celebrities and dignitaries to cut the ribbon in order to sell the snacks that Fat Bro mentioned. He specially invited a 4-star chef to make desserts on the spot and give them away for free. Although the cost of hiring this 4-star chef exceeded his budget, as long as he could attract more customers, it was only a matter of time before he earned back the money. Feynman instructed the staff to adjust the position of the flower baskets at the entrance and glanced at Fat Bro's shop next door. He saw a hover car stop at the entrance. A transport robot went up and down, moving the things down from the car. Feynman almost laughed out loud. Oh my God, Fat Bro is too old-fashioned. Surprisingly, they were using charcoal and a huge iron pot. The iron pot was so heavy that the robot's mechanical arm was bent. However, it was tightly covered and no one knew what was inside. This kind of primitive kitchen utensil was only used on the most barren planets and the most backward civilizations. His staff couldn't help but laugh out loud. Isn't this the kind of iron pot that's placed in museums? Is Brother Fatty at his wit's end to actually use such outdated kitchen utensils? Which chef would use this kind of charcoal, an iron pot? How many generations have passed since the invention of thermal energy? Can you really cook with this kind of charcoal? Feynman said hypocritically, All right, go and clean up. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is about to begin. A few minutes later, the MC said, It's time, Mr. Feynman. Just follow the established procedure. Feynman reminded, Turn on the live stream. Understood. The MC turned his head, and the moment the live broadcast started, his face was full of smiles. Today is the opening of Mr. Feynman's 66th branch. Thank you, dear guests and friends, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come to our site. Gulp. The loud swallowing sound spread to the ears of every spectator in the live broadcast room. In an instant, Feynman's expression changed slightly. What kind of crappy MC was this? He was too unprofessional. Damn it, what was the smell? It was as if a spell had been cast on the crowd, as they all turned to look in the same direction. Even the live stream camera ball automatically changed its lens and shot from a different angle. What came into view was the side profile of a peerlessly beautiful face. Chapter 805. The charcoal fire had been lit at some point, and since it was smokeless charcoal, it wasn't choking at all. The girl's slender and fair fingers unhurriedly lifted the lid of the large iron pot. The iron pot conducted heat quickly and had a large surface area. She quickly heated up the ingredients inside, and by this time it was already bubbling. That alluring aroma was coming from the pot. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the girl fished out a piece of beef from the pot and placed it on the shore. She then sliced the beef into thin slices and placed them on a small plate. She then sprinkled chopped green onions on top and decorated it slightly. The beef had been braised just right, and its color was a beautiful brownish yellow. The grease had a layer of luster, and under the morning sun, it was steaming hot, drawing out everyone's gluttony. Gulp. The sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard one after another. The viewers in the live stream were going crazy. Feynman naturally used the best live stream camera ball for the live stream. Not only could it share the viewer's five senses, but the data was also the most realistic in the market. There were already viewers who couldn't wait to pick up a piece of braised beef and stuff it into their mouths. The rich fragrance of the sauce spread on the tip of their tongues, and the texture was chewy. The freshly scooped beef was still wrapped in some gravy, and as they chewed, the taste was even more wonderful. Oh my God, this is too delicious. I strongly condemn Fat Brother for his false promotion. How is this a 3-star chef? He's a 5-star chef. Dear friends, I suggest you go straight to that iron pot to get the food. There's still a lot of food. It's just a little hot. Remember to blow on it. Did you just find out? I've already eaten it a long time ago. A mouthful of braised food and a sip of happy water. The viewers in the live stream had at least tasted the virtual data. Only then did the people at the scene truly feel the torture. This feeling of seeing but not being able to eat was really too torturous. The passerby who was about to enter Feynman's shop hesitated for a moment before stepping forward and asking, "Excuse me, do we get a free snack as long as we enter the shop?" Xiangyi nodded and asked, "Yes, what do you want to eat?" "There's beef, duck neck, duck wings, lotus root, dried tofu mushrooms." The girl listed a series of dishes, and the passerby almost drooled. "Beef then." He made a difficult choice. Xiangyi handed the small plate to him. "Try it and see if it's to your liking. If you like spicy food, you can pour some chili oil on it." There were several large wooden bowls on the table. In addition to chili oil, there were also ginger vinegar, soy sauce, sesame oil, sesame paste, peanut butter, and other condiments. The passerby wanted to give it a try. He scooped up a spoonful of chili oil and poured it over a piece of beef. That chili oil was bright red and fragrant. Together with the beef slices, it looked a lot better, and it was even better when it was in his mouth. The sensations of numbness, spiciness, and fragrance deeply stimulated his taste buds, and then transmitted to his central nervous system. His mind was blank, and there was only one feeling. So delicious! He only needed one mouthful to fall into the enemy's hands. The passerby couldn't wait any longer. If I buy an optical computer, can I have a portion of each ingredient? Platter? Sure. Xiangyi agreed, not because she was generous. In fact, the ingredients themselves did not cost much. Besides, she and Fat Bro had already considered this situation yesterday. The passerby was overjoyed, as if he had gotten a huge bargain. Without even looking at Feynman's new shop, he shouted, "Give me a platter! Ahem, give me an X721 optical computer." Chapter 806. Feynman was speechless. "Hey, wake up! Our shop is offering discounts. An optical computer can save at least a few $100 dollars. How much can a snack be worth?" However, with the first person taking the lead, countless people flocked to the stall. "I want a serving of duck wings." "Miss, I want lotus roots." "Give me an optical computer." No, a platter." Xiangyi's snack stall was soon surrounded. Fortunately, she had already considered the problem of the flow of customers and calmly let a few housework robots take over while she quietly retreated to the side to continue braising. Fat Bro stood at the door, smiling so widely that his eyes narrowed into slits. In just a few minutes, his shop had already sold more than a dozen optical computers. This was even when Feynman's new shop was about to open, and there was a super low discount. On the other side, Feynman's face was even darker than the bottom of the pot of braising. He forced himself to remain calm and carried out the ribbon-cutting ceremony. However, the viewers in the live stream were no longer thinking about how low the discount would be in his shop, but, "Miss, please join my live stream." Isn't she the tutu who has been trending all over the internet in the past 2 days? Why can't I find her live stream? Alliance live stream is getting beaten up. Why hasn't such an outstanding streamer signed a contract? In fact, the higher-ups of the Alliance live stream were also worried to death. They had sent private messages to Tutu's live stream account, but 2 days had passed and she still hadn't replied. Her account status also showed that she hadn't logged in. It wasn't that they didn't want to sign a contract, but rather Tutu didn't care about them at all. Seeing that she had attracted a lot of attention from netizens after catching a glimpse of her in Feynman's live stream today, the higher-ups held a meeting and made a decision. They immediately asked the staff to rush to the scene and sign an offline contract with Tutu. As long as her request wasn't too much, they would consider giving her a B grade or A grade contract. At the same time, after the ribbon-cutting ceremony for Feynman's shop, he also announced the discounts on several popular models of optical computers. Most of them were 40% or 30% off, and the cheapest model was actually 30% off. It was a sky-high price. All of a sudden, the sales of Feynman's shop increased greatly. However, the expected crushing situation did not happen. On the contrary, the traffic at Fat Bro's shop was much higher than his. Although a portion of the people went in for the free snacks, 2/3 of them actually chose to buy an optical computer for the sake of the platter. In the past, it had always been a small gift for buying an optical computer. Why did it become a small gift for buying an optical computer? Was this the power of food? No, this was not marketing at all. Feynman was unwilling to give up. She asked her assistant to sneak into Brother Fatty's shop and wander around. She brought back a portion of Xiangyi's braised food. Beef was the most popular dish. The first pot had already been distributed, and the assistant had asked for a braised egg for him. Any housework robot could make a braised egg, but this braised egg was different from the one made by the preset program. Its exterior was smooth, and when one bit into it, it was chewy and full of flavor. Whether it was the heat or the timing, it was just right. It could be said to be a perfectly braised egg, especially the egg yolk. It was soft and salty. Even someone like Feynman, who didn't like to eat egg yolks, almost wolfed down this egg. He wasn't done yet. A strong impulse arose in Feynman's heart. Without thinking, she said, "Go buy an optical computer and get a platter." Chapter 807. The assistant took out a plate of steaming braised food from behind him and smiled awkwardly. "I've already bought it." Feynman was confused. He was about to take the plate when he saw the loyal assistant move away and say righteously, "Boss, this is mine. If you want to eat it, I'll buy another set for you." Feynman was confused. The relationship between the boss and subordinate broke on the spot. Xiangyi's braised food tactic had an unexpected effect. Originally, she only wanted to use the fragrance of the food to attract the attention of the passers-by and draw them to the shop. Unexpectedly, the focus of everyone's attention was no longer on whose optical computer had a lower discount and whose price was cheaper. Instead, it was Xiangyi's pot of braised food that was about to be sold out. Xiangyi had prepared a total of 3 pots of ingredients, but she still couldn't resist the enthusiasm of the customers. It had only been 2 hours, but the braised food was about to be sold out. What she prepared were all semi-finished products. They just needed to be heated. If they were to be braised, it wouldn't be as tasty. Fat Bro was already very satisfied with this result. After all, today's sales were higher than the total sales for the past month. All right, Miss E, you've already proven your value. Happy cooperation. The bail money was too worth it. Xiangyi, the braised food is almost finished. We can start the barbecue now. Fat Bro. Ah! The young girl blinked, and her small face instantly became lively and cunning. I've made 2 preparations. After saying that, she used the optical computer to give orders. A few cute robots immediately carried out a stone slab, moved away the big iron pot of braised food, and placed the stone slab on it. Xiangyi brushed a layer of oil on the stone slab, then picked up the thin slices of pork belly and placed them on the stone slab. Sizzle. The unique sound of barbecue was like a cat's paw scratching, seducing the hearts of everyone present. Xiangyi then placed the marinated lamb with pickled peppers, New Orleans chicken wings, secret butter, green peppers, eggplant, potato slices, and bread slices. When the passers-by heard the sound and smelled the smell, they were all about to cry. Feynman, he was going crazy. Why? Where did this woman come from? Was she a hidden royal chef? Brother Fatty was overjoyed. Bailing out E was definitely the best thing he had ever done in his life. The killing power of this barbecue was even greater than that of the braised food. The aroma drifted far and wide, attracting more and more people to stop and watch. Everyone had the mentality of strolling around and eating for free. However, when they walked out of the shop, each of them had an extra set of barbecue meals in their hands. Oh, right, I almost forgot. I also bought a new optical computer. At this time, a hover car stopped in the air. Several men and women in suits and leather shoes, looking like elites, locked onto Xiangyi's position. South City, private ward. E was tired from crying, and her mind began to work quickly. She couldn't be controlled by others. She had to take the initiative to attack. After rummaging through the cabinets, she found Xiangyi's phone. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. A few minutes later, the spicy Tutu fans saw that their sister E had shared a link to the live stream. Xiangyi V, did you miss me? Come and chat with the babes. __, the spicy Tutu fans were so excited that they all rushed into the live stream. The girl on the screen had an exaggerated beauty lens, and at this time, she looked shocked. When did she become so popular? Why did millions of people watch her live stream? Chapter 808. E fiddled with her cell phone and finally noticed that the number of fans on Xiangyi's Weibo account had increased by several times compared to before she left. It had now reached more than 20 million fans. She didn't expect Xiangyi to clean up the mess that she had created in the entertainment industry and even become so popular now. There must be a lot of people who like her. At the thought of this, E suppressed the ecstasy in her heart and pretentiously brushed her hair in front of the camera before greeting her fans in a coquettish voice. Hello, everyone, I'm your favorite E. In the live stream, the spicy Tutu fans suddenly felt a strong sense of dissonance. Question mark, who are you? Did Sister E lose the game of truth or dare? You're not Xiangyi, are you? Where did this AI face-changing monster come from? Did you steal Sister Yi's account? E was a little dumbfounded. How did this happen? I only said one sentence. How can these people tell that I'm different from Xiangyi? Little did they know that Two Under One Roof, which Xiangyi was participating in, was a live-streamed variety show. The fans watched Xiangyi's every move every day, and their understanding of the little girl was no less than that of their friends in real life. Of course, there were also fans who were more tolerant and felt that Xiangyi might be joking with them. They even spammed comments, such as Sister E is so cute when she's coquettish. That made E feel smug again. She made up her mind and said shamelessly, I'm Xiangyi. I'll be sad if you say that. Anyway, it would be useless even if they caught her for scientific research. Her body was Xiangyi's body. Although the spicy Tutu fans were suspicious, they were still worried about Xiangyi's health. Hence, they began to ask about her condition. E chatted with the spicy Tutu fans, casually. I'm fine now. Yeah, thank you for your concern. Wow, you even sent me gifts. Why are you all spamming Shui's name? I don't think he's a good person at all. He's so fierce and cold. What group favorite? You guys don't know how badly my brothers treat me. They actually locked me up. Sigh, he won't let me leave this ward. In the lounge, Sang-Chen and the others received the news as soon as E started streaming. Seeing her artificial appearance in the live broadcast room, Xiangyu frowned and felt very uncomfortable. This woman, in the past year, he hadn't been able to tell. Loneliness appeared in the eyes of the young esports god. In the end, it was because he cared too little for his sister. Xiangqi retched. I can't take it anymore. I can't stand this thing saying these things with a bunny's face. I'll go get my phone back. Xiangli said, calm down. Xiangqi, you can tolerate it, but I can't. Old Four, let's go and take care of it. Xiang, you silently rolled up his sleeves. Sit down. As soon as the cold and steady voice sounded, the lounge suddenly fell silent. Xiangqi and Xiangyu snuggled together timidly, thinking that they must hide behind each other when they get beaten up later. Xiangli explained, there's a saying that you won't die if you don't ask for it. If you don't experience a beating, you won't know what despair is. The three of us have already arranged everything. Xiangqi, ? Xiangyu, ? So, are we being looked down upon for our intelligence? Isn't that right? On the side, Shui, who had quit smoking for a long time, tapped his cigarette box lightly and took out several cigarettes. His voice was very hoarse and filled with hostility. What it owes Bunny, it must return 100 times over. Chapter 809. In the ward, E was still complaining and pretending to be miserable, hoping that she could live a better life through the support of public opinion. What she wanted was not to be locked up in this small ward for the rest of her life. Instead, she wanted to go shopping, flirt with handsome boys, and enjoy the attention and love of others. However, E did not get the effect she wanted. Not only did no one sympathize with her, but more people began to suspect her instead. I've cracked the case. This sister, E, is a fake. Please call me a famous detective. Our sister, E, is such a gentle person. She wouldn't be so full of negative energy. I really suspect that this sister, E, is a fake. First of all, she doesn't even know that Shui is her boyfriend. Secondly, do you think it's possible that her brothers bullied her? Of course. I believe that they bullied her uncle. Seeing that the public opinion was leaning towards her, E suddenly panicked. In the past, these idiotic netizens would clearly believe what she said. Why did things become like this now? E lifted the blanket and was forced to prove that she had been abused. I'm not lying to you. I've been imprisoned. There are bodyguards outside. She pulled open the door of the ward abruptly and looked at the camera. Did you see that? They're restricting my freedom. In the next second, what she heard was not the bodyguard's cold reprimand, but the bodyguard's respectful voice. Miss, is there anything I can help you with? E turned her head and looked out of the door in disbelief. Only 2 bodyguards were left behind, and they were female bodyguards who were specially hired. In addition, there was a maid and a chauffeur standing guard outside the door. The maid asked, Miss, do you want to go to the hot spring? There are hot springs in the rehabilitation area of this hospital, and the gentlemen have already ordered the best ginseng soup for you. The chauffeur asked, Miss, do you want to go shopping? Although the shopping malls are about to close at this time, we can still go shopping if we go to our own mall. E stumbled and said, No, it wasn't like that just now. She looked at the screen to see that the comments were full of doubts. You can't lie like that. I'm speechless. Haha, what a joke. You call this imprisonment. Then I beg you to lock me up as well. You're a fake Xiangyi. Where did you come from? Go back to where you came from. Seeing you annoys me. What E enjoyed the most was being pursued by others. The hardest thing to accept was the criticism of others. She was not as mentally strong as Xiangyi. E hurriedly turned off the live stream. She felt uncomfortable all over when she saw those comments. Why were they all scolding her? She only wanted to pursue her own happiness. What was wrong with that? Take me to the hot spring, E said tiredly. However, the maid snorted coldly. Are you worthy? E. She was surprised by his 2 faces. Do you know who I am? I'm Xiangyi. young miss of the Xiang family. A mere maid like you dares to speak to me like this. Do you believe that I will ask my brother to expel you and make you live a life worse than death?" The maid mocked. She had no makeup on, but it was hard to hide her beauty. "You? Ha! You're just a pheasant occupying a magpie's nest. Do you really think you're a phoenix? We're here to serve Miss Xiangyi, not a fake like you." Li Jianyu, the chauffeur next to her, secretly gave her a thumbs up. My sister Wan is ruthless and wild. This round of scolding was so satisfying. Chapter 8:10. Yi's face turned pale. How could this be? How could this be? Why can even a maid sense that I'm not the real Xiang Yi? The bodyguard also changed his attitude. "Miss, please go back. The gentlemen have instructed that you are not to take a single step out of the room." Yi said angrily, "Remember this, all of you, I won't let you off." She stormed into the ward and slammed the door shut. Her phone buzzed and vibrated nonstop. She opened it to see that it was full of messages she had received from various apps. "Imposter. There will be retribution for stealing accounts. We like Sister E, not an AI face changer like you." There were tens of thousands of pieces of news that covered the sky and covered the earth. E threw her phone away, not daring to look at them again. She covered herself with the blanket, trembling all over. In a daze, E realized that perhaps what she would receive from this soul swap would not be a beautiful life, but hell, in the lounge. What? The live stream is fake. Li Jianyu and Wan Qing played the maid, and the chauffeur? Xiang Qi was dumbfounded. Next to him, Xiang Yu was equally dumbfounded. Sang Chen and Shi Sui went to the balcony to smoke. Xiang Li really couldn't stand the two of them muttering about snatching the phone, so he took the time to explain to them. Yes, that phone was deliberately left behind by Shi Sui. There's a small program I wrote in it. Every app she sees is no longer the original one. It can only be used within the hospital and is not connected to the internet at all. Xiang Yu asked, "In other words, the so-called number of viewers, comments, and gifts were all written by the program?" Xiang Li smiled like a spring breeze, but his words were vicious. "It's not difficult to write a fake account, right? No way, right? Is there really someone who can't even do this?" Xiang Qi was speechless. Xiang Yu was speechless. I'm still being despised. Xiang Li sighed again. "Your IQ is so low. If little uncle were here, I don't dare to think about it." On the side, Xiao Naofu was still typing on the tablet with its little paws as it let out an aggrieved meow. It was too difficult. This group of devils actually made him write down all the details of his transmigration with that stupid woman. His claws were about to break. Sob, sob. Hearing this childish cry, Xiang Yu couldn't bear it and wanted to pick up Xiao Naofu to coax it, but was stopped by Xiang Li. "The big picture is more important. The most important thing now is to get my sister back as soon as possible." Hearing this, Xiang Yu suppressed his natural instinct for furry animals and stroked Xiao Naofu's head. "Good luck, little baby." Xiao Naofu blinked, and its meaty paws began to type faster. "Stupid woman, hurry up and come back. This Hohu misses you, meow." Far away in the manor, Xiang Feng sneezed violently. "Who's talking about me again?" He hugged little Shiji tightly and said with a look of distress, Why do you all want me to stay at home? You don't despise me, do you?" Little Shiji, "Woof." "Okay." Xiang Feng nodded. "Definitely not. They're afraid that I'll be too sad and cry until I faint in front of little Xiangyi's bed. Do you think you can hide this from me? My IQ is online." Little Shiji, "Okay, as long as you're happy." At the entrance of Fat Bro's shop in Star City, a sea of people was not enough to describe the grand occasion at this moment. Xiangyi sat in a cafe nearby, rubbed her sore wrist, and said calmly, "Sign a contract." Chapter 8:11. The staff of the Alliance's live stream were all wearing exquisite suits and looked like elites. Miss E, this is our contract. You can take a look first. The optical computer projected a contract, and Xiangyi skimmed through it. The conditions of the contract were very harsh. She had to broadcast for 8 hours a day, and the content had to be about cooking or food-related content. The commission was only 30% instead of 20%. Xiangyi declined. Sorry, I don't have any intention of signing a contract at the moment. That E obviously didn't know how to cook. If the two of them switched, E wouldn't be able to fulfill the contract, and the fans would be disappointed. Xiangyi didn't want to cause trouble for anyone. This was the basic upbringing. The staff looked at each other and revealed an as expected expression. It seemed that this tutu was quite scheming. She knew how to reject the offer. In the past few years, they had fooled many streamers into signing the contract and could only become the workers of the Alliance's live stream. If they went back on their word and didn't want to live stream anymore, they would face huge compensation. They were the best at manipulating newbies. Miss E, don't be in a hurry to reject us. You can have a good chat with us. Are you not satisfied with any of the terms? We can talk about it again. Our Alliance's live stream isn't open to just anyone. If you miss this precious opportunity, you can only live in the slums for the rest of your life. I'm afraid it'll be too late for regrets. The staff were clearly divided into two groups. One was playing the good cop, and the other was playing the bad cop. They had the idea of signing Xiangyi today. Xiangyi expressed her attitude again. Thank you for your hospitality, but I have no intention of making a living from live stream. She was still a tough nut to crack. The staff were a little dissatisfied. They were used to dealing with stupid streamers and had a sense of superiority. Miss E, with your current income, you can only live in the charity house in the slums for the rest of your life. I remember that it's only a dozen square meters, right? Don't you want to move to a bigger house or even a villa in the rich district? Miss E, according to your previous live stream data, we have made a prediction for you. As long as you serve us well, in between the lines, other than persuasion, there was also a hidden suppression of Xiangyi. This method was a little dirty, but wasn't it fine as long as it worked? Before Xiangyi could reply, Brother Fatty had already pushed the door open excitedly. Sorry to disturb you. E, today's sales have exploded. Just the flow of water alone has already exceeded 100 million. The mouths of the staff of the Alliance's live stream twitched. I'm sorry. I interrupted your serious business. Fat Bro apologized, but in fact, he didn't feel sorry at all. He sat down next to Xiangyi and glanced at the contract. He smiled and said, you guys, why are you using a B-grade contract to trick a little kid? As far as I know, with E's data, not to mention an A-grade contract, even an S-grade contract is enough, right? The staff member knew that he had met someone who knew the ropes and felt a little embarrassed. Data is data. When we sign a contract, we naturally have to consider some indicators. The leader said arrogantly, Yes, you're right. Fat Bro clicked on his optical computer, and another S-grade contract appeared on the screen. He smiled and said, Empire Live couldn't contact E, so they sent the contract to me. Look, what do these letters say? Oh, it looks like Ace. Chapter 8:12. Empire's S-level contract. The staff's expression changed. The monopoly formed by the Alliance's live stream was only limited to the Alliance's region. However, now that the Alliance and the Empire were facing the Zerg crisis, they had reached a friendly cooperation. Both sides shared resources. Now, the content of the Empire's live stream could also be watched on the Alliance's interplanetary network. The current data was not very good compared to the Alliance's live stream. However, if the traffic in the Empire's region was included, It was actually terrifying. However, these staff members thought that they were knowledgeable and cared about their reputation. Hence, their attitude was still condescending. All right, to show our sincerity, we can give you an A-level contract. The projection screen flickered and switched to another contract. The treatment of this contract was indeed better. Xiang-yi was about to speak, but she was stopped by the fat brother with a secret gesture. The fat bro shook his head and said, I didn't expect the people from the Alliance's live stream to be so uncultured. S-level contract is 90% and A-level contract is 50%. It seems that your mathematics was taught by sports robots. Then what do you want? Someone couldn't hold it in and sneered. Miss E is a citizen of the Alliance. She can't live in the Empire. How can it be more convenient than signing with the Alliance's live stream? The fat bro was puzzled. What's so inconvenient about this? Star currency is interconnected and resources are shared. The procedures can be done on the photon computer. Isn't it better to make money? These people were furious. Although their superiors had given them an order to give Xiangyi an S-level contract. After all, her potential was indeed quite big. However, did these distinguished elites not care about their reputation? No matter how popular a food streamer was, there was still a ceiling. Instead of wasting time on her, it was better to sign a few streamers with high combat power, let them hunt Zerg endlessly, and contribute to the traffic. Thinking of this, their attitude became even more impatient. Miss E, we'll give you one last chance. You should know what to choose. The fat bro said, Yo, you don't even need to address me respectfully. S-level contract and A-level contract. Of course, our E knows what to choose. He just couldn't stand this group of people bullying Xiangyi like she was a fool. After all, Xiangyi was their store's mascot. The delicious food made by her small hands was even more effective than the manekiniko. The sales of the store increased rapidly. If that's the case, then we have nothing to talk about. However, Miss E, you'd better be mentally prepared. The users of the Empire's live stream are far inferior to our Alliance's live stream. The group of elites walked out arrogantly, but deliberately slowed down their pace. In their hearts, they felt that Xiangyi would chase after them. However, not really. The staff members looked at each other with blank expressions. Why was this completely different from what they had imagined? Coffee shop. Bah. They were dressed like humans, but they were all beasts dressed in human clothing. Who are you trying to disgust with a B-grade contract? Fat Bro said with disdain. Xiangyi said, please calm down. I didn't plan to sign the contract anyway. Brother Fat, don't be in such a hurry to reject them. Empire Livestream is quite sincere and is willing to sign a short contract with you. You can sign it 1 month at a time, and the benefits are also very good. Xiangyi pondered for a moment. Can we sign it day by day? Brother Fat. Young lady, you'll get beaten up easily if you do this. Chapter 8:13. Xiangyi smiled. I'm just joking. Hey, why don't you talk to the people from Empire Livestream? They're too good. Huh. A moment later, several staff members from Empire Livestream sat opposite Xiangyi. The scene was familiar, but their attitude was completely different. Miss E, this is our contract. Please see if there's anything you're not satisfied with. Other than signing the contract day by day, do you have any other requests? Xiangyi was confused. Do you agree? This request was unreasonable no matter which industry it was in. The staff member smiled and said, Of course, this isn't a big problem for us. On the contrary, it's our honor to be able to make you sign the contract with us happily. Fat Bro muttered, You're quite good at talking. Xiangyi weighed the pros and cons and put forward her request. First, sign the contract on a daily basis. Second, don't show my face. Third, if possible, help me block all my scenes on the Star Domain network. Wait a moment, we need to discuss this. Another secretary asked gently, Miss E, I brought coffee beans from Empire. Do you want to try it? Xiangyi shook her head and refused, but Fat Bro shamelessly asked for a cup. The secretary made a pot of hand-brewed coffee on the spot. Fat Bro tasted it. Damn, this is too bitter. Xiangyi chuckled. The staff members who were discussing were attracted by her smile. The girl's appearance was not the kind that could cause the downfall of a country, but she was very ugly. When she smiled, she had a rare brilliance and beauty in this era. If there was one word to describe it, it would be healing. Soon, they came to a conclusion. Miss E, it will be a little regretful if you don't show your face, but we will respect your request. The first two conditions are fine, but the third one involves the Alliance's video, so we might be a little slow in processing it. Xiangyi noticed that they said slow and not can't do it. Empire's strength seemed to be very strong. Both parties confirmed some small details. With Fat Bro around, he naturally wouldn't let Xiangyi suffer any losses. Empire Livestream also made the biggest concession. It didn't take long for both parties to sign the contract. After tasting Xiangyi's barbecue, the atmosphere became even more harmonious. When they left Xiangyi with a full set of live streaming equipment. She was treated like a nanny. Fat Bro asked, E, what are you going to broadcast? I have a friend who feels a little hungry. Xiangyi's eyes curved into crescents. Then what does your friend want to eat? Hee, anything is fine. He's like me. He's not picky. Xiangyi didn't expose him. Instead, she opened the store and prepared to place an order for ingredients. Brother Fatty noticed that the optical computer she was using was an old version. He hurriedly said, I'll give you the latest optical computer. Just treat it as my meal, my friend's meal money. Thank you, but I'll buy it when I have the money. The fat brother did not force her. Instead, he thought highly of the young lady. It was rare for someone from the slums to have such a temperament. What a pity. At this time, a staff member rushed in a panic. Boss, there's a big shot who actually came to our shop to buy an optical computer. Brother Fatty's face was distorted by the bitterness, but he still insisted on drinking that cup of coffee. What's the big deal? It's not like big shots have never come to our shop. It's the commander of the Alliance's fleet, Fu Zichuan. Buffed. Chapter 814. Fat Bro spat out coffee on the person's face and stood up. What did you say? Fu Zichuan. Yes, Fat Bro's body swayed. If Xiangyi hadn't supported him in time, he would have fallen. The optical computer this big shot is using should be the most advanced in the interstellar fleet. It's much more advanced than the latest model on the market. There's no reason for him to buy the optical computer in my shop. Well, Commander Fu doesn't seem to be here for the optical computer. He bought 10 optical computers and ordered 10 portions of barbecue. Fat Bro. 2 minutes later, Fat Bro's legs were trembling. Accompanied by Xiangyi, he returned to the entrance of his shop. There was a sea of people rubbing shoulders at the scene, forming a small vacuum area. A few housework robots worked together. Some were in charge of the barbecue, some were in charge of the sauce, and some were in charge of packing. Countless people surrounded Fu Zichuan. It was like a large-scale star-chasing scene. Fu Zichuan lowered his eyes. His expression was as cold as in the Alliance's promotional video. Commander Fu, what brings you here? Fat Bro was like a social butterfly as he smiled and greeted him. It was as if the person whose legs had gone weak just now wasn't him. Xiangyi thought to herself that this was probably his passive social talent. Her gaze inadvertently landed on Fu Zichuan, and her body stiffened slightly. He and Shui looked alike. if one wasn't very familiar with them, they would probably think that the two of them were the same person or twins. However, Xiangyi quickly calmed down. It wasn't that she hadn't seen people who looked similar. He was him, and Sure Sui was Sure Sui. While she was sizing up Fu Zichuan also looked at her. She had thin arms and legs, an ordinary human female creature. Her combat strength didn't even have half a star. It was just that her eyes were more lively, and her temperament made people feel more comfortable. He said calmly, "I don't mean to disturb you. My sister wants to eat your barbecue, so I'm here to buy a few portions for her." Fat Bro was such a slick person, so he immediately praised him, such as Commander Fu dotes on his sister, Commander Fu is too approachable, and so on. When the onlookers heard this, they were extremely excited and began to share this scene on social media. It's a sin to miss the barbecue in this shop. Everyone come quickly. The ingredients were almost gone. Real-time location. Even the commander of the Alliance fleet, Fu Zichuan, said it's a good restaurant. I won't allow my sisters to not have eaten it before. If we take the accelerated hover car, now we might even be able to see Fu Zichuan's divine face up close. As a result, more and more people came to know that today, Fat Bro's shop was giving out free optical computers. If you buy barbecue, cough cough, buying optical computers would give out free barbecue. As for Feynman, he was about to faint from crying in front of the shop. F***CK, you. Why would a big shot like Fu Zichuan come out to support that damn fatty? He lost his mind and grabbed his hair. Even the terrifying thought of Fu Zichuan and the damn fatty having an affair appeared in his mind. "Hello, customer. Your barbecue is packed." Mengming's robot handed over the insulated box. To ordinary people, the thermos box was heavy, but Fu Zichuan easily picked it up and nodded. "Thank you." Suddenly, a loud sound came from the direction of the Alliance Parliament. The scene was instantly chaotic, and everyone ran frantically in the direction of the shelter. Xiangyi stood rooted to the ground in a daze. Before she could react, her collar was grabbed by a pair of strong hands. "I forgot to say, the main text is about to end. Good night. I'm begging for a monthly ticket." Chapter 8:15. Has your intelligence reached the average level? Xiangyi, ? An indifferent male voice entered her ears. "This is the sound of a photon cannon. Don't you know to stay in the shelter?" Xiangyi was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Wasn't that part of Star City's defensive firepower? Was it used to counterattack when the enemy attacked? Fu Zichuan seemed to have guessed what she was thinking. The enemy might not be outside the city. Xiangyi understood. Internal strife. Seems like you're not hopelessly stupid. Fu Zichuan was expressionless. "Thank you, I'll go to the shelter now." However, her collar was grabbed again. She didn't know how strong the other party was, but Xiangyi couldn't break free from him and couldn't move an inch. "Can you find it?" Xiangyi was about to say that she could just follow the direction of the crowd, but Fu Zichuan didn't give her time to explain and directly threw her into the air. Xiangyi! ! The expected fall didn't happen. A pair of powerful mechanical arms caught Xiangyi steadily. "Xiaobai, bring her home." "Okay, master." Xiangyi turned her face and realized that what caught her was a mecha. Did the generation mecha also have self-awareness? However, upon closer inspection, she realized that it was actually a combat robot wearing a mecha. "Missy, sit tight." Xiaobai used its other arm to touch Xiangyi's head. The cold and hard alloy material had a special touch. Before Xiangyi could reject Fu Zichuan, Xiaobai had already carried her with one hand and strode towards the Fu family. Xiangyi's hair was messed up by the wind after it ran. Her head was about to fall off. Star City, Central District. This place was still harmonious and stable. The fountain was opened regularly, and the gardener was methodically building the flower branches. It was as if no matter how cruel the war was, there wouldn't be any changes here. Xiaobai slowed down and tilted its head to size up Xiangyi. The girl's hair was messed up by the wind, and she looked slightly disheveled. There were also a few red marks on her cheeks. Weren't humans as strong as Master? Why was this little guy so weak? Xiangyi's expression didn't change, mainly because she knew that she couldn't beat her opponent with her bare hands. She calmly took out a hairband and tied her hair into a bun. The hairband was furry and had 2 small bunny ears. It was a small gift that a female customer had forced on her. Little White's yellow mechanical eyes lit up. Xiangyi asked with uncertainty, "Do you want it too?" Xiaobai nodded vigorously. Yes, yes. He even deliberately turned off the mech's head device, revealing his face that could be considered handsome among the robots. Xiangyi gestured, not knowing where to start. The robot, it doesn't have any hair. After thinking for a few seconds, Xiangyi said gently, "Can I tie it on my hand?" Xiaobai, "Okay." It stretched out its arm, and Xiangyi put the hairband on it. Xiaobai said happily, "Thank you, Missy. We're here." It stopped, and what came into view was a beautiful villa. A young girl in a pink tea dress was drinking afternoon tea in the courtyard. Seeing that Xiaobai had actually carried a woman back, she put down her cup angrily. "Hey, what's your relationship with my brother? Let me tell you, my brother won't get married casually. My sister-in-law has to be at least as beautiful as the princess of the empire. Here are 5 million star coins. Be sensible and leave my brother." Chapter 8:16. Xiangyi, she coughed lightly. "Miss, you misunderstood." "What misunderstanding?" "My brother has never had any relationships with the opposite sex since he was young. How could he have contact with girls? Did you use some scheme?" Fu Yunyue stared at Xiangyi warily. "You're not sent by the Zergs to seduce my brother, are you?" However, not only did this young lady look familiar, but she was also quite good-looking. Fu Yunyue couldn't be said to be obsessed with looks. She was a good-looking person. She had 2 hobbies in her life: delicious food and beautiful women. She usually watched live streams to pass the time when she was bored. When she saw good-looking streamers or delicious food, she would reward them crazily. Xiangyi jumped down from Little White's arm and said uncertainly, "I'm considered to be here to seek refuge." "Huh." Fu Yunyue looked at her in confusion. Little White hurriedly explained, "TSK, so you're an idiot who even found a refuge." Fu Yunyue put her hands on her waist. She had been beaten down by her brother since she was young. Today, she could finally beat someone else. How satisfying was that? "All right then, I'll reluctantly let you accompany me for afternoon tea." Xiangyi, "Thank you, it's my honor." Since she was here, she might as well take things as they came. Anyway, she couldn't beat her. She could only comfort herself like this. Fu Yunyue flipped her hair and was a little happy. Because of Fu Zechuan's special identity, she didn't have many friends. This was the first time someone had afternoon tea with her. This is the special black tea from planet Anthera. This is the dessert made by a 5-star chef in the Alliance. Humph, don't cry because it's so delicious. Fu Yunyue sounded like a proud young lady, but there was anticipation in her eyes. Eat it. Cry for me. Be shocked by this perfect combination. Tremble. Cry. Xiangyi used a small fork and tasted the dessert first, then paired it with a sip of black tea. She reacted calmly and praised out of politeness, "It's delicious." Fu Yunyue, who was looking forward to her crying, was dumbfounded. That's it. That's it. It was the first time she had eaten such a combination. It was so delicious that she cried. This woman, how did she do it? She was actually indifferent. "Hey, don't you think it's delicious?" Or have you eaten better food before, so you feel that these are mediocre? Fu Yunhua questioned. Xiangyi looked at her innocently. Sorry, everyone's taste is different. I don't like things that are too sweet. I don't usually put so much sugar in my desserts, so I might feel differently from you. Fu Yunyue's eyes lit up. You know how to make desserts? Xiangyi, a little. Then make one of your favorite dishes for me to try. Before she could finish her sentence, Fu Yunyue pushed her into the kitchen. Our kitchen has everything from primitive kitchenware to molecular kitchenware machines to the latest models. Xiangyi, this pair of siblings, their innate ability was to interrupt other people's conversation, right? She sighed. Oh, right. Are you going to live stream? Fu Yunyue asked. I have an account, and I have over 20,000 fans. I can lend it to you and give you all the star coins I earn. Actually, Fu Yunyue wanted to give Xiangyi a reward in disguise. You have to pay for your food. That's a matter of course. Isn't there a civil war now? You can live stream? The sanctuary also has interplanetary networks, okay? Which backward planet did you come from? Don't you know this common knowledge? Chapter 817. Xiangyi. I see. She didn't explain anything, but Fu Yunyue had already imagined her pitiful background. For example, she had grown up on a barren planet, she couldn't even afford nutrient solutions, and could only roast insects for a living. She hadn't received 12 years of compulsory education, so she didn't even know what the interplanetary network was. The more she looked at it, the more she wanted to transfer money to Xiangyi. #me, a rich woman. How can I transfer money to my beautiful sister? Waiting online. It's urgent. Xiangyi didn't know that Fu Yunyue was already thinking about how to transfer money as her attention was focused on the layout of the kitchen. The Fu family's kitchen couldn't be described with the word grand. It was no exaggeration to say that it was every chef's dream. Even Xiangyi was a little shocked. However, she returned to normal in an instant and chose a few ordinary but handy kitchen utensils. Thinking of the contract with Empire Livestream, Xiangyi took out the Livestream equipment from her bag. It was a camera ball the size of a fingernail. After it was activated, it floated into the air and automatically adjusted its position. Xiangyi gave the camera ball an order not to film her face. Then, she logged into the Livestream software. This time, behind the two words tutu, there was a conspicuous Empire Livestream host logo. Seeing this scene, Fu Yunyue stuttered. You, Tutu Bunny, you're actually the same person? Xiangyi was curious. Have you watched my live stream? Fu Yunyue. She hadn't just watched it. She was Yin Zhongyue. Fu Yunyue was about to expose her identity when she suddenly remembered her attitude towards Xiangyi in the beginning. Her expression suddenly became very subtle. Ahem, I guess I've watched it. I don't know how to cook, so I won't disturb you. As soon as she finished speaking, she disappeared without a trace. Xiangyi didn't think much of it and opened the live stream. After a simple greeting, she lowered her head and began to focus on making desserts. Almost as soon as she opened the live stream, Empire Livestream began to recommend Xiangyi, and countless viewers instantly flooded in. Oh my God, it's Tutu's live stream. Tutu is finally streaming again. I've watched the video from last time dozens of times. Today, I saw a video of braised food and barbecued meat taken by a passerby. I heard that the person cooking is also Tutu. Is that true? The live broadcast room was bustling with noise and excitement, especially the netizens from Star City. There was no other reason other than it was too boring in the fallout shelter. Everyone was watching the live broadcast to kill time. As for the internal strife, they would fight every once in a while anyway, so they were already used to it. It just so happened that the office workers could openly slack off in the fallout shelter, and the students could justifiably not do their homework. in the courtyard of the Fu family. Fu Yunhua frowned. What should I do? What should I do? How can I treat Tutu so badly? Little White shook its feet. The system it was equipped with was all for combat. Fu Zichuan didn't install much of a daily chat template for it. Simply put, it was the steel straightener of robots. Apologize to her? How could I possibly lower my head and apologize to someone? Then, should we pretend that nothing happened? How can we do that? I hurt Tutu. Fu Yunhua sobbed twice and suddenly thought of something. Why don't I compensate her with my brother? Little White. No, she can't take a beating. If Master punches her, she'll probably vomit blood. Chapter 8:18. Fu Yunhua was confused. Why did my brother hit her? Xiao Bai suddenly came to a realization. I get it. He wants Missy to hit Master? Immediately afterward, it was puzzled. But with her thin arms and legs, if she punches Master, her arms will probably break. The corners of Fu Yunhua's mouth twitched. Forget it, you don't understand. So why am I chatting with this steel robot? Fu Yunhua lay on the table as the light shone through the lush branches and leaves, sprinkling fine fragments of light. She watched Xiangyi's live stream and couldn't help but swallow her saliva. The desserts that Xiangyi made today were mango pancetta, strawberry snow lady, and mango dew. Every time she made a dessert, Xiangyi would explain the steps in detail. Her explanation was clear and easy to understand, and she would also give the exact dosage. The audience was eager to try, and some even put it into practice. But soon, various scenes of failure appeared. Brain, I know. Hand, you know nothing. I think it's very simple. Why did I fail at the first step of beating the eggs? Oh my God, my batter has turned into charcoal. My mother said that I'm cooking dark cuisine, and she's going to kick me out of the house cack. Some people also felt that Xiangyi had touched their cake. For example, the Chefs Association of the Alliance. There were very few delicacies in the interstellar era. Firstly, it was the promotion of nutrient solutions, and secondly, it was the secret operations of the Chefs Association. First, it was to raise the bar for chefs, so that the public would subtly think that cooking was a skill that could only be mastered by professionals and that ordinary people couldn't learn it at all. Secondly, it was to strictly restrict the circulation of recipes. Ordinary people couldn't come into contact with ingredients and cooking techniques at all. Even if they searched for it, they wouldn't be able to find it on the interstellar network. The most ruthless move was that if a person cooked at home, they would have to pay a so-called pollution fee. This fee was not cheap. Hence, gradually, the public realized that the food they cooked was not delicious and the cost was high. They might as well drink nutrient solutions or go to restaurants outside to eat. The Chefs Association also rose in status because of this, and they gained supreme honor and status. But now, everything that Xiangyi was doing was challenging the existing rules. How could she just tell him the recipe so casually? If everyone learned how to cook, how could the Chefs Association make profits? As a result, a large number of fake reviewers flooded into Xiangyi's live broadcast room and accused Xiangyi of something she didn't do. How can a girl who grew up in the slums have such amazing culinary skills? One look, and I can tell that he stole it. Stealing is equivalent to plagiarism. Unforgivable. How despicable. It is recommended that Xiangyi be exiled to the original Sin planet immediately. Have you guys heard? She knew how to cook because she had stolen the life work of a 5-star chef. It's worse than stealing children. The atmosphere in the live broadcast room instantly turned foul. The Chefs Association was complacent. She was just a news streamer. How could they not teach her a lesson? But to Fu Yunhua, this was simply coming to life. She, who had nothing but money, crazily sent Xiangyi gifts. He had single-handedly suppressed all the comments. On this day, news of Cloud Moon's terrifying wealth and hand speed spread throughout the interplanetary network, and everyone knew about it. Okay, it's done. I'll turn off the live broadcast, then. Xiangyi didn't even look at the comments and directly turned off the live broadcast. She went out with the desserts and found Fu Yunyue waiting at the door, clenching her fists tightly. 10 million star coins. Please be with my brother. Please. Chapter 819. Xiangyi was speechless. Sister, you were the one who said, "Leave my brother for 5 million star coins, right? Why did you change your mind so quickly?" Miss Fu, stop joking, Xiangyi said helplessly. Let's try the dessert first. Oh, okay. In the courtyard, Xiangyi placed the tray on the table, and Fu Yunyue sat down eagerly. Although she had already tried a lot of desserts through the shared 5 senses during the live stream. However, how could virtual data be as delicious as real food? Fu Yunyue picked up a small fork and cut a piece of mango pancake. The yellow pancake skin was wrapped in white cream and fresh mango. It was embellished with green mint leaves, outlining beautiful colors. When it entered her mouth, the sweet taste of mango, smooth cream, and thin pancake skin formed layers of soft and sticky texture. Delicious! Fu Yunyue's eyes lit up. She finished the mango pancake in a few bites and threw away the fork. She picked up a strawberry and bit off half of it. The first bite was the Snow Empress's QQ popsicle skin. It was white and soft, with a whole strawberry and cream in the middle. At this moment, sourness and sweetness reached a perfect balance. This is delicious too. Fu Yunyue picked up the small bowl of mango dew and gulped it down. The cooked sago mixed with mango pieces, coconut juice, milk, and finally grapefruit. It tasted sweet and refreshing, completely conquering Fu Yunyue's taste buds. Sob, it's too delicious. Fu Yunyue sobbed and couldn't stop eating. In just a few minutes, she finished the desserts prepared by Xiangyi for 2 people. Xiangyi asked considerately, "There are a few more in the fridge. You want to eat?" Fu Yunyue let out a small burp. With a wail, she actually burst into tears. Xiangyi was stunned. Little Bai was also stunned. The woman and the machine looked at Fu Yunyue in a daze. Fu Yunyue sobbed. "It's really too delicious. I've never eaten such delicious desserts." So that was how it was. Xiangyi said warmly, "If you like it, I'll write down the recipe for you. If you want to eat it later, you can ask the chef to make it for you, or you can try cooking it yourself." "But isn't it very difficult to cook?" Fu Yunyue asked in confusion. She had been taught this way of thinking since she was young, and she couldn't change it for the time being. Xiangyi said, "It's not difficult if you like him." Only then did Fu Yunyue realize that she had finished all the desserts on the table. She scratched her head and asked carefully, "Well, are you really not interested in my brother? Although he's a little ugly, a little fierce, and a little cold, he's super good at beating up Zerg beasts. He can even earn a lot of money back." Of course, she didn't want Xiangyi to be her sister-in-law because of food. Absolutely not. Xiangyi replied, seriously, "I have someone I like." "Huh, is he also from Star City?" Thinking of Shui, Xiangyi was absent-minded for a moment. "He's somewhere very far away." But in the blink of an eye, the girl regained her determination. "He's waiting for me to come home." Fu Yunyue muttered in her heart, a long-distance relationship. Then her brother might still have a chance. At the door, a figure stained with blood stopped in his tracks. On the interplanetary network, no matter how the people of the Chefs Association tried to smear her, the recipes of the desserts made by Xiangyi still spread at an unstoppable speed. It swept the entire network. After trying, many people found that making delicious desserts was actually so easy. Chapter 820. The thing that the Chefs Association was most worried about had happened. The voices of doubt were like rolling snowballs, accumulating to the point where they could cover the sky and earth. The Chefs Association held an emergency meeting to discuss how to turn the situation around. If they couldn't solve the problem, they would first solve the source of the problem, Tutu, the streamer. After this live broadcast, the number of fans on this account had increased by another wave. If she continued to develop like this, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the door, Fu Zichuan was full of vigor. When he heard the conversation between the two of them, he stopped in his tracks. Someone she liked. For some reason, he was a little curious. What kind of man would this girl like? Brother, why are you back? Fu Yunhua saw him and was more frightened than surprised. There's no food in the fridge. There's really nothing. The moment she opened her mouth, she was already a self-deceiver. Fu Zichuan's mouth twitched in the face of his sister's stupidity. Fu Yunhua coughed. Brother, are you all right? Why are you covered in blood? The little girl's eyes were filled with anxiety. She lifted her skirt and rushed in front of him, wanting to check his injuries. Fu Zichuan moved a step to the side, without a trace. Don't worry, it's not my blood. I'll go wash it first. His gaze fell on Xiangyi. He nodded slightly in greeting, and the latter returned a polite smile. After Fu Zichuan took care of himself, he saw two girls in the courtyard through the window. They were chattering and ordering Xiao Bai to make a hammock. Xiao Bai was a combat robot. At some point, it had put on a rabbit ear headband that was the same as the two girls, and a red bow was tied around its neck. He couldn't bear to look at it. Fu Zichuan held his forehead and sighed. He strode into the courtyard. Brother. Fu Yunhua saw him come out and chuckled. Brother, you have another headband. Fu Zichuan was expressionless. I don't wear such childish things. Tutu taught me to make this. Don't you think it's cute? Fu Zichuan was in a daze for a moment. There were two rabbit ears on his head. However, the two girls' ears were white powder, and his was gray powder. Fu Yunhua didn't expect that she would really succeed. While she was shocked, she quickly took many photos secretly. However, as she took photos, she realized her big brother had been staring at Tutu. Oh, there was a situation. Fu Yunhua rubbed her small hands excitedly. Big brother, let's go. Quickly get Bunny in your hands. Xiangyi lowered her head and replied to Brother Fatty's message. Brother Fatty apologized to her and said that he had left her behind to run to the shelter because he was in a hurry. Xiangyi didn't think much of it. Brother Fatty had no obligation to help her in the first place, let alone when it was a matter of safety. After a few simple replies, Xiangyi turned off her optical computer and was about to bid farewell to the Fu siblings when a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Fu Zichuan. Even though he looked similar to Shi Sui, Xiangyi's heart did not waver. Shi Sui was Shi Sui. She was different from anyone else in this world. Mr. Fu, thank you so much for saving me today. Fu Yunhua secretly thought of the couple at the side and thought of the retro idol dramas that had recently become popular. Every time the female lead said this sentence, the male lead would smile wickedly and say, Woman, then repay me with your body. Or, Little thing, call me big brother, and I'll give you my life. However, her brother displayed a straight man attribute that was no less than Xiao Bai, a steel robot. It's a pity that you don't use your hands to practice mecha. Chapter 8:21. Fu Zichuan's logic was simple. He had watched the video of Xiangyi cooking. Her hands were especially nimble, her strength was good, and her reaction was fast. More practice would give her an advantage in mecha combat. Fu Yunhua, who was waiting at the side, was speechless. Brother, my dear brother, can you be any more straight? Xiangyi's expression was normal. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I will consider buying it in the future. Fu Zichuan was speechless. He wanted to say that he would give her one, but he felt that it was too abrupt. His Adam's apple bobbed. He was already a man of few words, so he didn't know what to say. Fu Yunhua was about to die of anxiety. Seeing that Xiangyi was about to leave, she hurriedly pushed her elder brother. Brother, the civil strife is over, but we can't let our guard down. The city may not be safe. Send two back. Xiangyi declined politely, but she couldn't win against Fu Yunhua's coquettish behavior. She even rolled on the ground, so she had no choice but to agree. On the hover car back, Xiangyi didn't talk to Fu Zichuan, except for a few words with Xiao Bai. If Fu Yunhua saw this scene, she would be very disappointed. After sending Xiangyi to the slums, the girl jumped out of the car lightly and waved at Fu Zichuan. Goodbye. She said goodbye, but he didn't feel that she wanted to see him again. Fu Zichuan's thin lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he just remained silent. Something was wrong. Something was wrong with him. What was this strange and strong feeling? He couldn't deny that this girl had a mysterious attraction to him. After giving Xiao Bai a few instructions, the combat robot switched to invisible mode and followed Xiangyi to protect her. South City, Xiao Naofu was so tired that it collapsed into a cat biscuit. Xiangyu rubbed its meaty paws with heartache. Little baby, it won't hurt any more after I blow on it. Huff, huff, meow, meow, meow. Xiao Naofu rubbed against his abdominal muscles aggrievedly and continued to lie down. Everyone had read the message it typed several times. The atmosphere was tense. It turned out that Xiangyi had traveled through so many worlds. She had once been injured, bled, and was on the brink of death. She had also been betrayed by her most trusted friend, and she had watched as someone close to her passed away. Just the thought of it made his heart ache. However, she had experienced it again and again. If it wasn't for the fact that she was determined to go home, her soul might have completely disappeared from this world. This is so infuriating. Why is it that the little rabbit has to bear everything it should bear? Xiang Qi clenched his fists. He even had the urge to kill someone. Xiang Li knocked on the table. His genius brain worked quickly and quickly came to a conclusion. Firstly, this main system should have existed for a very, very long time. Just like a mainframe, the longer it runs, the more problems and loopholes there will be. Secondly, Yi's world has technology that is ahead of ours. To a certain extent, they should have mastered the technology of time travel, space jump, and so on. Thirdly, to them, transmigrating to another world is no longer a difficult task. The transmigration system was discovered by them and was also broken by them. The rules that originally restricted people were successfully reversed and used various methods to escape the transmigration. Xiang Qi became anxious. How are you going to save my sister if you talk so much? Find the main system? But how can there be such a coincidence that we can find the system or find the person who transmigrated? Shi Sui rubbed his eyebrows. Okay, everyone looked at him in unison. Shi Sui only said one name. Xiang Feng. Huh. Little Uncle. Chapter 8:22. What Shi Sui said next stunned everyone in the room. In the past year, I've met more than one fast transmigrator, and their goal was all Xiang Feng. At first, Shi Sui only felt that something was strange. Why would all kinds of girls appear around Xiang Feng? Whether it was an ordinary Cinderella, a socialite, a rich beauty, a starlet in the entertainment industry, a top scholar from a famous university, or an elite in the business circle, without exception, they would all coincidentally meet Xiang Feng in different ways and fall deeply in love with him. Perhaps in the eyes of ordinary people, this was because of Xiang Feng's appearance and wealth, but this didn't make sense. How could an ordinary girl accurately grasp Xiang Feng's itinerary? Why would a person who originally had a deep love be so devoted to him after just one meeting? What was even more inconceivable were the people who couldn't find any traces of the first half of their lives, as if they had appeared out of thin air in this world. Xiang Feng was carefree and didn't feel much about this. He drove away one girl after another in anger. Then, Shi Sui discovered that soon after, there were also men who pursued Xiang Feng. Their methods were similar. After finding out Xiang Feng's itinerary, they approached him with all kinds of reasonable and unreasonable identities. Without any reason or basis, they fell in love with him. Shi Sui concluded and guessed that they were all transmigrators from another world. Perhaps they were here to complete the mission. It wasn't until Xiangyi's return that he was completely convinced of his guess. Half an hour later, Xiang Feng sped all the way to the hospital. Shi Sui and the others were waiting for him in the parking lot. "Little Xiangyi, is there no hope?" As soon as the group spoke, it was obvious whether it was true or not. Xiang Feng's eyes were brimming with tears. "Did you guys ask me to see her for the last time?" Shi Sui. The Xiang brothers, Sanction began to roll up his sleeves, and the others silently walked away. 2 minutes later, Xiang Feng didn't know how horribly he had been ravaged by the Demon King. He was completely terrified, and he was a perfect example of following one's heart. "Are there any strange people around you?" "No, I think they're all quite normal." Fortunately, everyone had already made preparations. Both the open and covert forces were investigating the people Xiang Feng had been in contact with recently. Then, according to the patterns Shi Sui had summarized, they began to eliminate them one by one. He busied himself until the wee hours of the morning, but to no avail. Xiang Yu hugged Xiao Naofu and frowned. "There really isn't anyone strange. Qin Wanyan is the last one. After that, the clues seemed to have been cut off." Xiang Qi was puzzled. Assistant, subordinate, business partner, cafe owner. Even the cleaning auntie is excluded. Could it be that Brother Shi's thinking is wrong? Xiangli shook his head. "No, it shouldn't be a problem. We might be the ones at fault. Maybe we shouldn't limit ourselves to adults. Let's see if any children approached him." Sanction's sharp eyes locked onto Shi Sui. "You seem to have an answer." Shi Sui gave a faint MHM as her gaze fell on Xiang Feng, who was standing in the corner with a confused look on his face. "Xiang Feng, who am I? Where am I? What are they talking about? What system? Are all of you acting as me?" Shi Sui asked, "Where's the dog?" Xiang Feng subconsciously said, "Isn't it you?" Everyone silently walked further away. This time, Xiang Feng howled even louder than before. "Hey, little Shiji, wasn't it with Xiao Naofu just now?" Chapter 8:23. Only then did everyone notice that Xiao Naofu and little Shiji, who were still fooling around with each other just now, had disappeared. "Why is the dog gone? Is the cat gone too?" Xiang Feng asked with a dumbfounded expression. But this also means that little Shiji must know something. Yi was about to go crazy. She had never thought that she would end up like this after changing her soul this time. In the past year, although Sanction had put various restrictions on her, the other members of the Xiang family had treated her well. In particular, that damned old man and old woman, as well as that idiot Xiang Feng. She had an endless amount of pocket money and could enjoy all the things that she couldn't get in the interstellar world. Clothes, jewelry, bags, love, attention. Besides, Anen coaxed her every day and showed her positive comments. Yi felt very good about herself and felt that she was very popular here. She was also living a life of admiration. However, she didn't expect that she would be beaten back to her original state and even fall into a quagmire. On her cell phone, she received endless messages about cyberviolence. In reality, even the maids who delivered water and food mocked her. The mental torture almost made her break down. However, E soon thought of a way to get out of the current situation. Bang! She smashed the vase, picked up a fragment, and slashed her arm. A shallow wound appeared on her delicate, porcelain-like skin, and blood seeped out. E endured the pain and wanted to make another cut, but the door had already been kicked open by the bodyguards, who immediately snatched the fragment from her hand. Ha ha! You guys really care about her. E didn't know if it was because of the pain or because she was laughing, but tears streamed down her face. I'm telling you, if you don't treat me better, I'll destroy her body. Star City. Beep, beep, cracking complete. Xiangyi used the income from the live stream to buy a new optical computer. The modified cracking program worked and successfully restored some of the information on E's optical computer. Xiangyi took a deep breath and began browsing. E's optical computer was usually used for watching live streams, watching variety shows, shopping, and taking selfies. However, Xiangyi still found something valuable in the massive garbage records. Alternate World Transmigration Forum. Xiangyi spent a few hours and finally figured out some key information. This world belonged to a higher plane. Traveling through time and space had become a reality. Therefore, the so-called fast travel system was not a rare thing for the people here. The elites of this world had established the Otherworld Transmigration Forum. The original intention was to become a truly free organization. For example, if someone wanted to quickly transmigrate but wasn't selected, or if someone didn't want to quickly transmigrate and wanted to avoid the mission, then the two of them could make a deal and pay a certain price to the administrators of the forum to complete the exchange. Unfortunately, now, this forum had deviated from the original intention of its creator. The exchange had changed from a consensual agreement to an unknown coercion. Xiangyi was the one who had been cheated. For the sake of caution, she did not directly contact any of the managers. Instead, she first browsed through the so-called price. Star coins, skill cards, plain energy, these terms were reflected in her eyes. Vaguely, she thought of a possibility. This Otherworld Transmigration Forum seemed to have been created. Another system, a dragon slayer, would eventually become an evil dragon. Xiangyi felt a chill run down her spine. Chapter 8:24. After closing the forum and clearing her browsing history, Xiangyi made up her mind. She had to go home, but it had to be safe. It would be best if she could find a way to contact Ling Yi. A thought flashed through her mind. Will Ling Ye's Rebels Alliance become a dragon slayer? She laughed self-deprecatingly. Who knows what will happen in the future? Xiangyi's brain was exhausted to the extreme, and all she wanted to do now was to have a good sleep. However, her optical computer was flashing wildly, indicating that she had a new message. Xiangyi tapped on it and raised her eyebrows. In summary, the text message was, "The Chefs Association is going to put me on trial." Without giving her a chance to react, a video call popped up. It was actually a live broadcast. If she hung up, she didn't know how the Chefs Association would make a fuss about it. Xiangyi clicked yes, but she set the camera angle to block her face. The Chefs Association's live broadcast was originally very popular, and now that the Alliance's live broadcast had also joined in, the traffic had reached a record high. The president of the Chefs Association was about 60 years old. He had white hair and was hale and hearty. "Miss Yi, I'm sure you're already clear about the charges we're going to put you on. Sorry, I'm not sure." Xiang Yi took the initiative to interrupt him. The president's expression was serious. "You stole our 5-star chef's recipe. Today, you have to give us an explanation." Xiangyi said, "Oh." The girl's calm reaction made the Chefs Association seem like a villain. The viewers in the live stream also thought so. "I don't care. I just like tutu. The Chefs Association has always banned the circulation of recipes, but Tutu has allowed more people to enjoy delicious food. I'm definitely on Tutu's side. To be honest, the Chefs Association has no legislative or judicial power. What right do they have to put Tutu on trial? Isn't this an abuse of power? The president of the Chefs Association had a microchip in his ear. When he heard the real-time comments summarized by his assistant, he knew what was going on and softened his tone. As far as I know, you're just an ordinary person in the slums who relies on relief money to survive, and you haven't received any education to become a chef. However, in your live stream, you've made several dishes that can only be made by 3-star chefs and above. Where did you get the recipe from? And where did he learn such cooking skills? Coincidentally, we have a 5-star chef who lost his painstaking notes. The recipe is exactly the same as the one you made in the live broadcast room. As he spoke, he showed everyone a few photos. They were the first few pages of the notes that the 5-star chef had taken. Scrambled eggs with tomatoes, sandwiches, mango pancakes. It was actually exactly the same. The president grasped everyone's thoughts and said, "I heard that you have a record of theft." The live stream was in an uproar. This Tutu is a thief. To think I trusted her so much. Turns out she stole the recipe. Tui, it's ridiculous to know how to cook without any culinary education. Who in the interstellar era didn't know that ordinary people couldn't cook? Cooking is even harder than piloting a starship and Mecca. The audience was indignant, and the people of the Chefs Association were confident. Xiangyi asked calmly, "Is that so? I thought that cooking was something that everyone was born with." This point of view was too shocking and difficult to accept. "How many recipes are there in the notes?" Xiangyi said modestly, "I only know a little about cooking, but we can cook at the same time and see if our recipes and cooking techniques are the same. What do you think?" Chapter 8:25. The president of the Chefs Association was speechless. "Xiang, he made a sound of surprise. Didn't you say that I stole his painstaking efforts? Even if I can't remember every dish clearly, I can at least remember it roughly, right? Or are you deliberately leading the conversation and lying to slander me?" "Nonsense. How can we, the Chefs Association, threaten a thief from the slums?" Xiangyi said coldly, "It's not up to me to decide one's background. What's more, the Alliance's law stipulates that all citizens of the Anti-Alliance member states are born free and equal. So you think that the poor and the rich are two different classes? Are there high and low classes?" The president was speechless. How could he answer that? Of course, the poor and the rich couldn't be compared. But he couldn't say that, or he would definitely be scolded to death. "Little girl, you have a sharp tongue." An old female voice spoke. It was the vice president of the Chefs Association. She was wearing a light-colored knitted suit and looked like a kind old granny without any lethality. However, as soon as she opened her mouth, the situation was reversed. "If you didn't steal, how did you master the cooking skills?" For the people in this interstellar plane, it was impossible to learn cooking without being taught. This was what everyone had always known since they were young. Xiangyi's response was very simple. "As I said, I think cooking is a kind of talent. It can also be said that it is a kind of forgotten knowledge. As long as people practice, they can recall it." Crazy talk. A senior of the Chefs Association couldn't help but blurt out. Xiangyi said indifferently, "May I ask that 5-star chef, how many dishes are in his notes? Are you afraid to compete with me?" "Oh, of course. I don't want to compete with a thief like you." Xiangyi chuckled. "If that's the case, then I have nothing to say to you." She pretended to turn off the live broadcast, but the people of the Chefs Association hurriedly said, Since it's your first offense, as long as you return the notes and never cook the dishes on the menu again, our Chefs Association can be magnanimous and not argue with you. Xiangyi only felt that it was funny. Was he trying to get the recipe without risking anything? The people of the Chefs Association thought that they were very smart. Anyway, they didn't mention the specific number of dishes in the notes. In the future, no matter what dishes Xiangyi cooked, they would just say that Xiangyi stole the notes. Wasn't it easy for them to control public opinion? However, the screen of the video call went black. Xiangyi hung up the call. Everyone. Soon, Xiangyi started her own live stream. In the kitchen, she had bought some new kitchen utensils and ingredients. It was enough to make some home-cooked dishes. Today, I will teach you how to cook 100 dishes. Xiangyi put on her apron as she continued to place orders with her voice. From today onwards, I will cook 100 dishes every time I do a live stream, until I stop doing live streams. The Chefs Association sent a video call to her in a hurry. Xiangyi directly blacklisted the account and set the Do Not Disturb mode. The audience watching all this, is Tutu so stubborn? What's the big deal? The 100 dishes are all stolen recipes. That, whether she stole it or not, at least we can use her cooking live stream as an educational video. 100 recipes would be leaked every day. It meant that countless people would learn to cook. The people of the Chefs Association were completely panicking. Wait, let's talk about it. Chapter 8:26. They wanted to contact her, but she had actually set the Do Not Disturb mode. No, you little girl, why don't you play by the rules? Do you have any culinary ethics? In fact, Xiangyi couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with them. If she followed their logic, even if she won the competition and made a dish different from the other party could also say, you stole more than one chef's notes. You stole a lot of them. That would only lead to an endless quagmire of self-proof, which wouldn't solve the problem at all. Xiangyi chose another way. Since I can't prove myself, then I won't. The Chefs Association was most afraid of recipes being made public. Her 100 dishes a day was the best counterattack. Then, let's start with simple home-cooked dishes. If you live alone, you can make some porridge with 2 stir-fried dishes for dinner. The girl's voice was gentle, and she deliberately slowed down her speech so that people could hear her more clearly. At first, the Chefs Association had arranged for the Internet Water Army to spam keywords such as stealing and plagiarism, but they were soon flooded by enthusiastic netizens. There was no other reason, but there were many foodies' nutrient solutions were anti-human things, but they were only eaten for survival. Tasting delicious food was human nature. The Empire livestream was willing to recommend it, and there were many bored netizens watching the show, so the traffic of the livestream soared. The first dish, the second dish, the third dish, from home-cooked stir-fry to various cold dishes, and then to various difficult dishes. The girl was not only extremely skilled in making each dish, but she was also very fast at cooking. Her overall management of time was amazing, and she could often take care of several dishes at the same time without showing any panic. She's using double speed? She must be using double speed. Oh my God, Tutu's reaction speed is too fast. I feel that she would be very good in other industries. I'm kneeling to the big boss. Doesn't the Chefs Association's face hurt? Let's not talk about anything else. Can your 5-star chef do it so fast? The people of the Chefs Association pretended to be dead on the surface, but they were suffering in their hearts. They really couldn't. 5-star chefs made high-end dishes, and it was normal for them to spend several hours on a dish. For someone like Xiangyi to make 10 to 20 dishes in an hour, what a freak. Seeing the recipes being streamed out along with the live broadcast, the people of the Chefs Association couldn't help but send people to the vicinity of Xiangyi's residence. No matter what, they had to stop Xiangyi's live broadcast. Even if he had to resort to unscrupulous means. However, before the hired bounty hunters could even get close, they were taught a lesson by Little White, who descended from the sky. In a matter of minutes, he had changed from being unscrupulous to not breaking his hand. When the people of the Chefs' Association received the news, they were secretly shocked. Battle robots, wearable mechs, these were all existences that belonged to big shots. Why would he protect a little girl from the slums? No, something's wrong. Before they had the time to ask their men to retreat, a small starship hovered above Xiangyi's residence precisely. The starship did not turn on the optical stealth mode, and the huge water droplet logo was reflected in everyone's eyes. That was the symbol of the Alliance commander, Fu Sichuan. 6 hours later, Xiangyi rubbed her wrist, which was in so much pain that she almost couldn't raise it. The last dish is ready. Someone will send it over now. In the live broadcast room, the viewers who had been selected were jubilant, as if they were celebrating the new year. The viewers who didn't get selected had subtly changed a little. Cooking. I feel like I can do it too. Chapter 8:27. Many people felt the same way. They felt that what Xiangyi said was very reasonable. Cooking was probably a talent that every human had. It was just that they had forgotten it after birth. As long as they learned it, they could recover their memories. On this day, the sales of kitchenware and ingredients in the Interstellar Mall increased greatly. Originally, only the people from the Chefs' Association would buy these things. After so many years, even if the suppliers knew the inside story, they tacitly agreed with what the Chefs' Association had done. In any case, they did not have much sales to begin with. However, once they realized that they could make money and that there was a huge profit to be made, the attitude of these suppliers changed instantly. They stood up one by one, criticized the Chefs' Association for its schemes, defended the interests of every citizen in the Alliance, and vigorously promoted that cooking was something that anyone could learn as long as they bought good kitchenware and ingredients. The reputation of the Chefs' Association fell to the lowest point since its establishment. After Xiangyi finished her lucky draw, she turned off the live stream and fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. It had been a long time since she was so tired. She fell into a deep sleep. On the roof, the starship did not leave but turned on its stealth mode. Whitey was squatting in a hidden corner, poking the hair ring that Xiangyi gave it from time to time. After sleeping for a long time, Xiangyi heard an anxious and familiar voice calling her. "Sister, are you okay?" Xiangyi gradually woke up and found herself in the sea of consciousness. In front of her was the figure of a young man who had transformed from data into a human figure. Ling Yi. Xiangyi was a little surprised. "How did you find me?" Ling Yi smiled bitterly. "I already know that you and Yi have swapped souls. I'm sorry, sister. I didn't protect you well." Xiangyi said in a warm voice, "I can't blame you for this. Do you know any way to get the two of us back?" Ling Yi was silent for a few seconds. "Sorry, I don't know." "Then I'll think of another way." How did you—" The young man in front of her had a few scratches on his face. The parts that were covered by his clothes seemed to be injured as well. "It's just a program." "How could it be injured?" Ling Yi said casually. "I accidentally bumped into the main system and was attacked. It will take some time for the program to repair itself." Seeing that he didn't want to say more, Xiangyi didn't ask any more. Ling Yi smiled and said, "Sister, don't be afraid. Now that I'm here, no one in this world can bully you. That lousy Chefs' Association made you unhappy, didn't it? Don't worry. I'll definitely make them pay you back 10 times or even 100 times. Xiangyi was absent-minded and didn't listen at all. Suddenly, a pair of hands appeared above her head. It was Ling Yi. "Sister, do you want to go home that badly? Is this world not good? It's a high-leveled civilization with advanced technology. Sister hasn't been here for long, but she's already so popular. Even if she can't go back, she can still live happily here. Xiangyi looked at him with clear eyes. Because someone is waiting for me. Lingyi smiled, but did not reply. By the way, do you know about the Alternate World Transmigration Forum? I wonder if it's reliable to exchange souls with them. Xiangyi casually mentioned. Lingyi blinked. The youth's eyes were dark and gloomy. I'm not too sure. Fu Sichuan received a message that was sent directly to his optical computer. The Alliance's safety net seemed to exist in name only. After browsing a few lines of information, his eyebrows furrowed deeply. That night, the administrators of the Alternate World Transmigration Forum were all arrested. The Alliance issued a decree that very night banning the use of shuttles that were not for scientific research purposes. Chapter 828. The Otherworldly Transmigration Forum was also banned. When Xiangyi woke up, she saw the news that had been pushed all over the internet. She was dumbfounded. Lingyi connected his program to the housework robot and scurried over. Sister, you don't look too good. That forum has been banned. Xiangyi said with a complicated mix of emotions. The news said that Fu Zichuan personally led the team and didn't even let Administrator 001 off. Ah, how did that happen? Lingyi asked meekly as he nestled beside her calf. What about you, sister? Xiangyi hugged her knees and said in confusion, I don't know either. She rarely showed such a helpless expression, but this time it was really different. All her paths home seemed to have been blocked. She even began to regret hesitating yesterday. If she had contacted the administrator at that time, she might have been swapped back today. Lingyi comforted her. Sis, don't take it too hard. Look, the news also said that those administrators aren't 100% successful. Half of them died an unnatural death, and their souls disappeared from this world without a trace. That is really bold to have the guts to swap twice, Xiangyi said, but there's still a 50% chance of success. Lingyi thought to himself, take it slow, there's no hurry. He would let her slowly wear away all her expectations and hopes. In that case, he would be the only one left in her world. No matter what, I will always be by your side, sister, Lingyi said in an extremely gentle tone. In Nanqing, little Shiji held Xiao Naofu in his mouth and ran far away from the hospital, displaying a physical strength that was far beyond that of a Shiba Inu. However, it was still caught. Xiangyu held the kitten in his arms and doted on it. However, little Shiji was locked in a cage and interrogated on the spot. The men of the Xiang family and Shui were all more than 185 centimeters tall, and their long legs were pleasing to the eye. However, in little Shiji's eyes, they looked like evil forces. Are you a fast transmigrator or the system? Even though it was mentally prepared, little Shiji's pupils still trembled. However, it didn't plan to say anything. It would never give in to these evil forces. You're not going to say anything? Take her to be sterilized, Shui said indifferently. Little Shiji comforted himself while bearing with the humiliation. Wasn't it just sterilization? It didn't care. In the next second, Shui's gaze fell on Xiangyu's arms. Take Xiao Naofu to be sterilized. Xiao Naofu, meow meow meow. Be a human. Sure go. Little Shiji barked. Woof woof. Dogman, come at me if you have the guts. Shui took out a cigarette and lit it up. The scarlet flame illuminated his handsome face. During Xiao Naofu's surgery, let little Shiji watch from the side. Little Shiji barked. Woof, woof, woof. Too ruthless. This D*MN man is too ruthless. A few minutes later, it was as if the scene was repeating itself. Little Shiji typed on the tablet with great difficulty. Little Shiji was indeed a fast transmigrator, and his mission was to assist Xiang Feng in gaining love. This was also its final plane. Once it was done, it would be able to transcend. I know about Ling Ye's existence. He was the one who took this world offline from the main system and made it stand alone. The main system can get everything back on track, but I can't contact the main system in this world now. There's nothing I can do, unless Ling Yi reconnects this world to the main system. However, if he does that, he'll probably be erased by the main system. Miss Xiangyi may never come back. Chapter 8:29. It was already late at night, and there was only a dilapidated street lamp at the entrance of the alley that was emitting a dim yellow light. The surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped by a few degrees. Shi Sui and Sanction had been smoking nonstop. Little Shiji was released and wanted to lick Xiao Naofu, but Xiao Naofu dodged. Meow, meow, meow. Atrocious! How dare you lie to me? Little Shiji was helpless. It just didn't want to get into trouble, so it carefully hid its identity as a fast transmigrator. That was its bottom line. Well, Xiao Naofu is too cute. Hence, its bottom line was lowered again and again because of this stupid cat. However, little Shiji's heart softened again when it saw how depressed Xiao Naofu was and how its ears were drooping. It returned to the side of the cage and threw the tablet on the ground, but no one cared about it. Little Shiji typed a line of words on it with its paw. I have an idea, but I can't guarantee that it will work. Xiangli frowned. Tell me about it. Every bubble world has its own protagonist, and his will is the will of the world. This world is derived from a book, and the male protagonist in the book is Shi Sui, but the male protagonist of this world is actually Xiang Feng. The reason why this bubble world was created is because he wants to get out of singlehood. So, when this goal is achieved, the will of the world will be at its strongest, and it might be able to break the shield set by Ling Yi. Xiang Feng was dumbfounded. Me? I'm actually the male protagonist? How is that possible? So, according to you, the solution to the problem is to get me married. Little Shiji silently deleted the words, "Love works too," and calmly added the word, "okay," with his paw. According to the estimation, if it was dating, it could get an A-level mission evaluation. If it got married, it should be able to get an S-level mission evaluation. Anyway, it had nowhere to go. When the time came, it would just stay in this world to protect Xiao Naofu. Xiangli pondered for a moment and said, "Let's give it a try." The end of science is philosophy, and the end of philosophy is theology. Even if he was a genius, he wouldn't be able to solve all problems. However, he wasn't willing to give up even the slightest bit of hope when it came to his sister. "Xiangqi, yes. Let's give it a try." "Xiangyu, anyway, even if my sister doesn't come back, there's nothing to lose." Xiang Feng stomped his feet. "How is there no loss? What I want is a perfect love, not some random marriage. Not." The cold and decisive voice naturally came from the great demon king. Xiang Feng immediately backed down. Then, let's get married. The problem is, where are we going to find someone to marry? You can't just stop a random girl on the street and shout that you want to marry her. Shi Sui puffed out a smoke ring, which covered her eyes and eyebrows. She said in an indifferent tone, "Is there a rule that states that I must marry a girl?" Little Shiji hesitated for a moment before typing, "No." Xiang Feng was shocked. You're not going to sacrifice yourself to marry me, are you? There's no need for that." Shi Sui, the brothers of the Xiang family. "Little uncle, you should reflect on why Tutu is loved by everyone while you're bullied by everyone. There's a reason for all of this." Shi Sui picked up little Shiji, after which a look of horror appeared on the chubby Shiba Inu's face. She said indifferently, "I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself." Little Shiji. Xiang Feng. Chapter 8:30. The little Shiba Inu barked angrily. Woof, woof, woof. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. My chastity must not be ruined. Sure Sui raised her eyebrows. You don't agree? Xiao Naofu will do it, then. Xiao Naofu was dumbfounded. What are you doing? Little Shiji's pupils dilated. Woof. No. Looking at the adorable kitten snuggled up in Xiang Yu's arms, little Shiji closed his eyes. Forget it. If I don't go to hell, who will? If I don't marry Xiang Yu, who will? It barked aggrievedly, indicating that it would be better to let Xiang Yu do it. Xiang Yu immediately said, I'll go make an appointment at the church right away. Xiang Qi made an okay gesture and said, Leave the gown to me. I've already prepared it. Although it's for Tutu and Brother Sure, Xiang Yu shot daggers at him. Xiang Qi hurriedly corrected himself. Ahem, it's just a couple's outfit. It's not a wedding gown. On the side, Xiang Feng was incompetent and furious. Did you guys even consider me? You. Hey, Star City. It had been a month since Xiangyi arrived in Star City. The flow of time between the two worlds was different, but Lingyi did not intend to tell Xiangyi. Today's live stream is over. Xiangyi turned off the live stream and sat down on the floor in exhaustion. She was exhausted, but if she didn't keep herself busy, she was afraid that she would collapse. When she was doing the transmigration mission previously, she had a clear goal to work hard and go home. But it was different now. It seemed that there was no point in doing anything. Lingyi skillfully packed the food and mailed it to the viewers who had won the lottery. During this month, Xiangyi kept her word and cooked 100 dishes a day. This kind of behavior was universally shocking. It was unprecedented. However, the effect was also extremely obvious. Xiangyi was now the most popular streamer on the internet. There was no other. Alliance Livestream regretted it so much that the staff members, who were full of superiority, were all fired. The Imperium Livestream, on the other hand, smiled and invited Xiangyi to develop in the Imperium. They would arrange a villa and a starship for her. However, they were all rejected by Xiangyi. As for the Chefs Association, it had fallen into the longest dark period since its establishment. Since Xiangyi's live broadcast, countless people found that the so-called ordinary people can't cook by the Chefs Association was a conspiracy. They followed the trend and learned to make the dishes that Xiangyi taught them every day. They were surprised to find that they could also make delicious dishes that were not inferior to the chefs. The current Chefs Association was being criticized, cursed, attacked, and opposed. Some people even called for the Chefs Association to be shut down. Sister, you're so awesome. You've gained another few tens of millions of fans today. Lingyi switched to housekeeping mode and started massaging Xiangyi's shoulders. Xiangyi gave a perfunctory reply, forced herself to focus, and continued to write the program. Currently, the Alliance only prohibited civilian use of the shuttle technology, but it was still allowed for official research. Xiangyi tried to break through the security wall of the Science Research Institute, but the difficulty was too high. It was like giving an unsolvable math problem to a primary school student. It was impossible to solve. The little robot sat next to her, looking very obedient. Sister, it's useless. The technology of this plane is too powerful. Even I can't break it. Isn't it good to stay here? I can accompany you. Forget those memories. Once you forget them, you'll be happy. Perhaps because she was too tired, Xiangyi felt dizzy, and her consciousness was somewhat absent-minded. Perhaps Lingyi was right. Forget. Family. Forget. Sure Sui. Chapter 831. Lingyi looked at her quietly. Xiangyi's willpower really exceeded his imagination. For the past month, he had been trying to hypnotize her, but it had little effect. Today, Xiangyi was probably too tired, so he found an opportunity to take advantage of her. The psychological suggestion worked. Xiangyi's eyelashes trembled. She felt her eyelids were extremely heavy. She fell onto the sofa. The little robot rubbed against Xiangyi's palm. Let me accompany you, okay? I can do whatever he can give you. If he likes you very much, I have 100 points, 1,000 points. The doorbell suddenly rang. Ling Yi was full of vigilance. He connected to the electronic peephole on the door and saw the person outside the door clearly. Fu Yunyue. He let down his guard. Xiangyi, who was about to fall asleep, was woken up. She propped up her tired body and opened the door. Sister, I'm here. Fu Yunyue gave her a bear hug and almost pushed Xiangyi to the floor. A pair of strong hands grabbed Fu Yunyue's collar in time and helped Xiangyi stabilize. Then, he withdrew his hands without a trace. Be careful. Xiangyi said weakly, Mr. Fu, you're here too. Fu Zichuan replied, Yes. Ling Yi. For some reason, this Fu Zichuan made him feel a little dangerous. He was the one who sent the message on the Alternate Worlds Transmigration Forum to Fu Zichuan. Fu Zichuan did not disappoint him. His efficiency was astonishing. He caught all the administrators. However, to Ling Yi, those people did not pose any threat to him. He had long gotten rid of the shackles of those ants. It was just that he was too lazy to deal with those people personally. Ah, sister, you're too kind. You actually left so much food for me. Beside the coffee table, Fu Yunyue was extremely excited. These days, Xiangyi would always leave some food for her according to her taste and send it over. Gradually, Fu Yunyue could not wait for the takeout anymore. Every time, she would come to the door to get it herself. However, she had always been alone before. This time, she brought her big brother with her. Xiangyi brought the cutlery over and asked politely, Would you like to try it, Mr. Fu? She thought that Fu Zichuan would refuse, but the man nodded slightly. Okay. After saying that, she imitated Fu Yunyue and sat cross-legged beside the coffee table. This house was bought by Xiangyi. The area was not big, and most of the space was occupied by kitchen utensils. The living area only had a small bed and a coffee table. There were very few clothes, only a few of the same color and style which were casually hung on the clothes rack. There wasn't even a wardrobe, let alone other decorations. The entire room gave off the feeling that it was lifeless. It was as if there was nothing here that made her reluctant to leave, and she could leave at any time. Awu, it's too delicious. It's another day of crying over delicious food. Fu Yunyue's eyes were brimming with tears as she ate until her cheeks were puffed up. Fu Zichuan picked up 2 chopsticks. It was still as delicious as ever. His attention unconsciously fell on Xiangyi. The girl was so thin that she was almost out of shape, thin and frail. She also became less talkative. She would only reply with 1 or 2 words when Fu Yunyue said something, as if she began to resist social interaction. Fu Zichuan observed for a while without batting an eyelid and coughed lightly. Miss Yi, is there something on your mind? Fu Yunyue tried her best to swallow the food in her mouth. That's right, that's right. Why aren't you saying anything? Is it because of your long-distance boyfriend? Xiangyi's eyes were filled with confusion. I have a boyfriend. Chapter 832. Huh. Fu Yunyue almost spat out her rice. She was extremely surprised. Didn't you say that you have someone you like waiting for you in a faraway place? Xiangyi tried her best to recall, but she could not remember anything. She smiled softly. Is there? Maybe it's something from a long time ago. Fu Yunyue was stunned for a few seconds. I see. Did Tutu really forget? Or did she want to walk out of her previous relationship? If it was the latter, then wouldn't her brother have hope? Thus, Fu Yunhue began to praise her brother crazily, vividly demonstrating what it meant to be stupid at Versailles and showing off. My brother used 6 seconds to defeat the champion of the mecha competition last time. The little princess of the empire came to pester my brother again. She said that she would marry no one else but my brother. Ayaya, Tutu, my brother's mine has recently dug out a batch of high-quality gems. Do you want me to make a set of hand gestures for you, or a pigeon egg on your kitchen knife? How could Fu Zichuan not guess Fu Yunyue's thoughts, but unexpectedly, he did not expose her. However, his ears started to burn. Throughout the entire process, Xiangyi listened attentively and responded politely from time to time. The little robot at the side was extremely angry. He did not take Fu Zichuan seriously at first, but now the more he looked at Fu Zichuan, the more he disliked him. This face was too similar to Shi Sui's. It was disgusting. Fu Yunhue ate and drank her fill. She rubbed her round belly and held a few ingredient storage boxes in her hand. She burped and said goodbye to Xiangyi. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Xiangyi asked, I might not be able to see you tomorrow. I probably won't start a live broadcast in the future. Sorry, I'm afraid I can't cook for you. Hearing this, Fu Yunhue said angrily, What do you take me for? I came to look for you, because of food. Burp. All right, that's also part of the reason, but the arrogant young lady was so embarrassed that her face turned red. She stomped her feet hard and said what was in her heart. I treat you as a good friend. After saying that, Fu Yunyue's head was so hot that it was almost smoking. She covered her face and ran away. Xiangyi was stunned for a moment. Her cherry lips moved, wanting to say something, but Fu Yunhue had already run far away. Fu Zichuan's deep voice rang in her ears. Tutu, can I add you as a friend on the optical computer? It had been a long time since he called her Miss E. All right. Xiangyi took the initiative to take half a step closer to Fu Zichuan. From the little robot's point of view, the two of them looked very intimate. After adding her as a friend, Fu Zichuan left politely and did not disturb Xiangyi too much. Before returning to his hover car, Fu Yunhue was still patting her red and hot face. When she saw him coming back, she stuck her head out of the car window with stars in her eyes. Brother, I saw the two of you whispering. Is there something going on between you two? He. Fu Zichuan said lightly. I'm just cooperating with her and being a tool. Fu Yunhue. As soon as the Fu siblings left, Ling Yi controlled the door and closed it. Ling Yi questioned, Sister, why did you add another man as a friend? Xiangyi looked at him. Mr. Fu is a very nice person. Is there a problem? Ling Yi said in a muffled voice. I don't like sister talking to other men. Xiangyi ignored him and continued to write the program. However, in the program to attack the security wall, a piece of virus code had been added without leaving a trace. Chapter 833. The little robot that was ignored became even more anxious. It circled Xiangyi back and forth, trying to attract the girl's attention with the noise it made. Unfortunately, Xiangyi's focus was too strong. Whether it was learning, cooking, or coding, she was highly focused and would not be easily disturbed. Ling Yi did not understand why she was so persistent. After waiting for her to rest and drink water, Ling Yi asked tentatively, Sister, do you miss your family? The girl's clear eyes revealed a trace of confusion. Family, she should have a family, but why couldn't she remember anyone? The girl's expression fell into Ling Ye's eyes. He was overwhelmed with emotions and was overjoyed. She had really forgotten. However, Xiangyi's next answer made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. I want to go home. Under the little robot's incredulous gaze, the girl firmly repeated, I want to go home. Ling Yi could not understand. She could even forget Shui and her family, but why didn't she forget to go home? How deep was her obsession? Time passed day by day. On the first day Tutu stopped broadcasting, the netizens on the Star Domain network thought that she might be tired and wanted to rest. The second day, the third day, the 10th day, her live stream screen was always black. The Chefs Association felt that this was a precious opportunity and jumped out to create another wave of waves. They released the news that Tutu was guilty. She had used up all the stolen recipes, so she was at her wit's end. The netizens' response to this was, "Someone turn on the light energy electromagnetic cannons on the starship and aim them at the stupid Chefs Association." It was the Chefs Association that deceived the public. It was the Chefs Association that persecuted Tutu. It was the Chefs Association that deprived everyone of their happiness. The netizens' anger was all vented on the Chefs Association. The Chefs Association, which was originally like a falling leaf in the wind, completely collapsed. For a long time in the future, as long as the Chefs Association was mentioned, it would be despised by thousands of people. Fu Yunyue changed from freeloading to bringing food. Xiangyi's symptoms of social rejection were becoming more and more obvious. She was unwilling to go out and cook. Every day, she was busy typing a bunch of things on her optical computer that she could not understand. The young girl was extremely thin. Every time Fu Yunyue saw her, she felt shocked. Fu Yunyue suspected that if she didn't come to deliver food, if she didn't force Xiangyi to sleep a little every day, Xiangyi might starve to death or die suddenly at home. On the other hand, Ling Yi was getting more and more irritable. Other than Fu Yunyue, Xiangyi was not even willing to communicate with him. Fu Zichuan rarely came, but every time he came, Xiangyi's symptoms would improve a little. Just yesterday, Fu Zichuan had asked her to go on an interstellar trip with him. Xiangyi, who was so against the outside world, had actually agreed. After Fu Yunyue left, Xiangyi continued to write code. She had tried to attack the security wall of the research institute a few times, but it was no different from throwing an egg at a rock. There was once when she was almost tracked down by the other party, and it was only because Ling Yi covered for her that she was able to escape unscathed. "Sister, I've made you something to eat. I made it according to the recipe from your previous live stream. I guarantee that it will taste exactly the same. Sister, if you go on a trip, can I go with you? I'll just stay in your optical computer and won't cause you any trouble, okay?" In the long silence, Ling Yi almost went crazy. The little robot tugged at Xiangyi's sleeve. "Sister, pay attention to me." Xiangyi's expression was indifferent as she turned off the robot's power. In a hurry, Ling Yi entered his data into Xiangyi's optical computer. Chapter 834. In an instant, the program was triggered. Ling Yi realized that something was wrong almost instantly, but it was too late. The program Xiangyi wrote every day actually contained a virus code that was fatal to him. That was a Super S-level virus that Xiangyi had learned in a certain fast-traveling dimension. As soon as Ling Yi appeared, she realized that the root of the problem was not to break through the security wall of the Academy of Sciences and return home through the interstellar era's technology. Instead, she needed to get rid of Ling Yi. The virus overbearingly invaded every byte of Ling Yi's. Even though it was in the form of virtual data, Ling Yi could feel that his body was being cut apart inch by inch. While fighting against the virus, he gritted his teeth and asked, "You've recovered your memory?" Xiangyi looked at him calmly, neither sad nor happy. Her eyes were clear. Ling Yi instantly understood something and smiled bitterly. "So, you didn't lose your memory at all. You've been lying to me since the beginning." Xiangyi said calmly, "Same here. Ling Yi, no, what should I call you? Dragon Slayer? System number 2? The ripples showing Ling Ye's data fluctuated. In addition to the difficulty of fighting against the virus, his emotions were also extremely intense. Xiangyi did not relax at all and continued to use other small viruses to completely restrict Ling Ye's movements. Ling Yi projected a virtual human figure, which was still a beautiful and delicate young man like an angel. You already know, more or less. Xiangyi's eyes were calm and her tone was calm, just like when Ling Yi first met her. It was as if nothing could disturb her. The two soul exchanges between me and Yi were related to you. Ling Yi simply sat down cross-legged, probably because he had nothing left to lose. He snorted as if he was very disdainful of that idiot Yi. Otherwise, how could she have been chosen by the main system to quickly transmigrate? It was just that he had done something to her. He had also interfered with the main system when Xiao Naofu was reincarnated. Xiangyi continued, "You're not a real human. The so-called digitized form is your original form. This world should be the world where you were born." Ling Yi tilted his head and smiled, revealing his sharp canine teeth. "Wow, sister is so smart. So everything is a lie. You're just playing me." From the first meeting when he was about to transmigrate, to the reunion in Little Rabbit Farm, and then to the companionship in the interstellar plane, reality did not exist. Everything was an illusion. Ling Yi faintly said, "Isn't Big Sister acting as me too?" I didn't expect Big Sister's acting skills to be so good that even I was fooled. One is marked by the company one keeps. Not to mention the experience of transmigrating to another world, just the fact that she had Sure Sui and Xiao Naofu by her side, these two acting geniuses, it would be unreasonable if she didn't improve her acting skills. What should I do? Big Sister treats me so badly, but I still like Big Sister a lot. Ling Ye's eyes revealed a trace of stubbornness. Big Sister is finally paying attention to me. Xiangyi's expression did not change as she continued to add poison to the poison. Ling Ye's expression was somewhat malevolent, and his core data was nearly destroyed. Big Sis is so ruthless. She already knew the truth, yet she still endured it for so long. Ling Yi gritted his teeth. "But you know, without me, you still can't go back. Be nicer to me. Maybe I'll consider letting Big Sister go back. You've given your gentleness to so many people. Can't you give me one more?" Xiangyi said the cruelest words in the most gentle tone. Gentleness and kindness have always been for people, not for trash. Chapter 835. Ling Ye's virtual projection in the air became even dimmer. "Am I trash in your eyes, sister?" Ling Yi asked in shock. Xiangyi stayed silent for a long time before saying, "You weren't in the past." Ling Yi put on a smile that was uglier than crying. A moment later, his expression gradually became menacing, paranoid, and maniacal. "Sister, you can't go back. That world has been blocked by me. Even if you use the teleportation technology of this world, you won't be able to reach your destination. Besides, your code can only trap me. It can't kill me at all." Xiang Yi's virus code was indeed very strong, but Ling Yi, as the second transmigration system, was also not to be underestimated. He could continuously evolve and fight until one day he could break through the trap set by Xiangyi. Xiangyi asked, "What about the main system?" Her words were earth-shattering. Ling Yi widened his eyes and stared at Xiangyi in disbelief. No, she must be lying to me. How could Xiangyi have contacted the main system? She wouldn't have waited until now. She would have gotten the main system to take action long ago. I can't contact it, but I trust my brothers, Sure Sui, Xiao Naofu, and little Shiji. Sure Sui was not the only one who had long noticed little Shiji's abnormality. As long as that world returned to normal, little Shiji would be able to contact the main system as a teleporter. Ha ha ha. Ling Yi convulsed with laughter and said, "Sister, you're so adorable. They're a bunch of good-for-nothings. How can they be as smart as you? Do you know that the flow of time in this interstellar world is completely different from that in your world? You've been here for more than a month, but only 2 or 3 days have passed there. How long do you think they'll take to find a solution? How long do you think you'll have to wait here? A year? 2 years? 10 years? Xiangyi said, "I've already prepared myself for the worst." She did not have any strong points, except that she was a little patient. Xiangyi sat down and casually flipped through a comic book that Fu Yunyue had given her. In this era, where paper books were rare, it was said that the comic books were treasured enough to be kept in the library. Xiangyi flipped through dozens of pages with a solemn expression. It turned out that people didn't wear clothes when they were in a relationship. Ling Yi tried to continue spouting nonsense, but Xiangyi calmly silenced him. Thus, she saw the young man flying into a frenzy in the air, but there was nothing he could do to her. South City Church. The red carpet extended all the way from the entrance, and the flowers that had been flown in were decorated with exotic dewdrops. There were only a few people in the huge church, and all of them were looking at a man and a dog dressed in formal attire. The kind priest inquired, "Are you willing to, from now on, become Xiang Feng's husband and enter into a marriage contract with him? In sickness and in health, or for any other reason, to love him, to care for him, to honor him, to accept him, to be faithful to him until the end of his days?" Little Shiji was conflicted for a long time and reluctantly gave up on life. Woof. The priest did not find it strange and stroked its head kindly. What's wrong with marrying a dog? Nowadays, there are even people who bring figurines to get married. The priest looked at Xiang Feng and continued with the procedure. "Are you willing, little Shiji?" Xiang Feng interrupted. I'm willing. He couldn't help but mutter softly, "It'd be ridiculous if this works," as the priest announced, "I hereby announce that you two are officially husband and wife." The world in front of them seemed to have ripples on the surface of the water. Chapter 836. Whoosh, space seemed to be distorted as it overlapped with one another. It felt like a second, but it also felt like 10,000 years. A moment later, everything returned to normal. Xiang Feng was dumbfounded, and his mouth was wide open. No way, right? What kind of fantasy plot is this?" The priest rubbed his eyes, thinking that it was an illusion. He asked with a smile. "What's wrong?" he asked with a smile. "When will the next ceremony be arranged?" Little Shiji suddenly barked excitedly and leaped towards Xiang Li, who was holding a tablet, to type a few words. "I've contacted her." Everyone felt a sense of relief. Yi was the only one whose eyes were full of panic, but she didn't dare to say a word. In the past 3 days, she had fully experienced what it meant to drag on like a year. Hell was just SOSO. Little Shiji immediately typed again. "You can get a divorce now." Xiang Li cleared his throat and said to the priest politely, "You can do it now." The priest was dumbfounded. Even dogs know how to play with tablets these days. "I'm not as proficient as a dog." Bearing with complicated emotions, the priest went through the divorce process again. "I hereby announce that you two have regained your freedom. May God bless you." Xiang Feng held his hand and shook it. Thank you for your hard work. It's no trouble at all." The priest smiled. Anyway, he had already paid them both. He was smart enough to leave temporarily after completing his work, leaving enough space for these strange people. Time passed, and everyone was waiting for the main system to reply. All of a sudden, Yi's face was full of agony as she felt a tearing sensation from the depths of her soul. "No, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here. I'm Xiangyi. I'm the little princess of the Xiang family. Her voice became weaker and weaker, and her vision turned black as she lost consciousness completely. Star City. Ling Yi had been clamoring for a long time, and he was probably tired as he hugged his knees and sat on the ground. Although it was a virtual projection, it somehow exuded a sense of desolation and dejection. He had lost. He had lost to Xiangyi. Xiangyi had flipped through the book that Fu Yunyue had given her countless times before she remembered Ling Yi. She then looked up at him. She turned off the silent mode and asked, "Did we know each other before?" Ling Yi stared fixedly at her. "Big sister, don't you remember me?" Ha, ha, ha. He laughed louder and louder. In the end, he even laughed until tears flowed out of his eyes. "That's true. I'm just a passerby in your life." It was an artificial intelligence programmed by humans. After changing its soul time and time again, it had collected the energy and will of various planes. It discovered that it could split a portion of its data to travel between different planes. Thus, out of the artificial AI's desire to learn and perfect the rules, it began to travel. During one of its travels, it met Xiangyi. At that time, her parents had been in a car accident, and she cried very hard. It had taken over someone else's body and deliberately crashed into it. The little girl wiped her tears as she took out a milk candy from her pocket and apologized to the stranger. "So sorry." At that moment, its core data felt like it was about to be burned. It was also from that moment onwards that it became him. The artificial intelligence created by humans had the self-awareness of humans. "It's fine if you don't remember me. In any case, Big Sister can only accompany me here forever." As soon as he finished speaking, the girl in front of him yawned as if she had been gently coaxed to sleep. She lay down comfortably on the couch, and her eyelids became heavier and heavier. Chapter 837. Ling Yi realized something. Even when he was infected with the virus, he wasn't so shocked. He attacked the virus program written by Xiangyi like a madman. The virtual projection was in so much pain that his expression was distorted. He was covered in wounds, but he still refused to stop. He spent so much effort to switch Xiangyi here. He thought that he could keep her in this world forever. He didn't expect her to see through all his schemes. But even if she hated him, it was better than losing her. Sister, Xiangyi, no, you can't. You can't leave me. No, the only response he got was a deathly silence. After an unknown period of time, Ling Yi looked at the girl on the sofa and groaned in pain. The pain from the depths of her soul still made Yi's heart palpitate. She opened her eyes with difficulty and looked at the projection in front of her. "Who are you?" Ling Ye's face was pale, and he was in extreme despair. "She left. She really left. Is it a new virtual boyfriend?" Yi muttered, and realized that she wasn't at her original home. "Did that woman rent a new house?" She tapped on the optical computer on her wrist, and her eyes lit up. "The latest model." Not only that, she realized that the communication function was set to do not disturb. She turned on the receiving mode, and the flashing red dots almost froze the optical computer. Looking at the messages on it, Yi was pleasantly surprised. Hundreds of millions of fans on the livestream platform. "Fu Yunyue and I are good friends. Fu Zichuan, the commander of the Alliance's starship, is interested in me." She suddenly felt that it was quite good to switch over. Anyway, she had already been exposed in that world, and her life was worse than death. But in the interstellar world, she had a new beginning. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Yi went to open the door. "I'm so tired. Sister, I finally queued up to buy this milk tea. It's super delicious." Fu Yunyue said that she was tired, but in fact, the one who was holding the milk tea was Fu Zichuan. Behind him was the cute combat robot Xiao. by. Looking at the face that was similar to Sure Sway's, Yi's heart pounded. Fu Sichuan narrowed his eyes, hiding danger. Fu Yunhue didn't notice her strange expression and asked casually, "Are you done packing? We agreed to start our journey in space today." Yi nodded vigorously. All right, I can leave at any time." Fu Yunhue immediately sensed that something was wrong. "You aren't Tutu, right?" "What Tutu?" "I'm Yi." As soon as Yi finished speaking, she realized that Tutu was Xiangyi's nickname and also her live stream name. She quickly corrected herself. That's right. I'm Tutu." Fu Yunhue took a step back. Fu Zichuan said calmly, "It's not her. Let's go." Even Xiaobai had a regretful expression on her face. She took off the hairband that Xiangyi had given her and the bow that she had made herself. Yi panicked. Where are you going?" But the Fu siblings did not even look at her and walked away. In the hover car, Fu Yunhue sniffled. Her eyes were red. She should have gone home. Fu Sichuan replied softly, "Yes." Fu Yunhue wiped her tears and smiled widely. Then she must have met someone she likes and been liked by someone. Hey, Tutu can finally get her wish. After a long, long time, Fu Yunhue heard her brother's low and hoarse voice. As long as she's happy. Chapter 838. Yi didn't expect to receive such a huge blow as soon as she returned home. However, she quickly adjusted her state of mind. Even without the Fu siblings, she still had so many fans on the Star Web livestream. She logged onto the Star Web livestream and soon received a greeting from Empire livestream, as well as a daily contract renewal. Yi naturally agreed and signed the contract for the day. The staff of Empire livestream asked politely, "Tutu, what are you going to cook today? Can you spoil the show so that we can help you promote it?" Yi froze for a moment. She didn't know how to cook at all. If she did, she would be exposed. Hence, she expressed that she wasn't going to cook today and was going to sing. She was going to show her face and sing. The staff on the other side was instantly excited. Tutu's face. This was an explosive event. The staff immediately applied to the higher-ups, and soon the application was approved for the best and most popular spot on the Star Web livestream. Simply put, as long as one used the Star Web livestream, they would receive a push notification from Tutu's livestream. Half an hour later, the livestream began. Yi was a little nervous as she waved at the camera. "Hello everyone, I'm Yi. Ahem, I'm Tutu." What appeared on the fan screens was a face with heavy makeup. Although it was quite pretty, everyone was still a little disappointed. She was too different from the image that everyone had imagined. They had thought that Tutu was a beautiful, gentle, and indifferent girl who would still be beautiful even without makeup. However, there were too many people who liked Tutu, and the pop-up comments were shocking. The fans were enthusiastically sending gifts to her. Yi was overjoyed when she saw this. She had just greeted them, and the gifts she received, if converted to star coins, would be worth millions. This was even when Yun Zhongyue was not around. With her taking the lead in sending gifts, the number would probably double. Then, Yi started singing. Fans. Yi continued singing. Fans. "Shut up, she's one of us." "Oh my God, I'm so disillusioned with Tutu. Let's talk nicely, don't poison my ears." Empire Livestream was also dumbfounded. They didn't expect Tutu's singing to be so terrible. The loss of viewers in the live stream was simply a waste of their promotion. Not only that, during the interactive segment, Tutu's words were even more shocking. "Thank you all for sending me gifts. Everyone, continue, don't stop. Why do you keep asking me to cook? That's something only a chef can do. Besides, her hands are so delicate. How can she endure cooking all the time?" The audience was such a pretentious woman. Really, Tutu. What's more, Bunny was a ruthless person who made 100 dishes every day for more than a month. How could he not be able to endure this little bit of hardship? Thus, everyone came to a conclusion. This tutu was a fake. The number of viewers in the live stream was getting lower and lower, and those who stayed behind were all doubtful. Did you steal Tutu's optical computer? Cook a dish to prove your tutu. It's a fake, right? Hee hee, you can't be Tutu. Never expected that she would still be doubted after returning to her own body. Panic was boundless and almost drowned her. Shivering, turned off the live stream. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of her retribution. In the church in Nanchang, the girl's eyelashes fluttered, and she slowly woke up, only to see familiar faces. Chapter 839. The light was a little dazzling, and she instinctively squinted. Immediately, a pair of large hands covered her forehead, covering her eyes. The tip of her nose turned sour, and she almost burst into tears. Finally, I'm back. In the interstellar world, she had been very calm and composed. She had spent a lot of effort scheming against Ling Yi, and was extremely exhausted, both physically and mentally. However, she didn't cry even once. It wasn't that she didn't want to cry, but rather she had been holding it in. After persevering for so long, she couldn't hold it in any longer the moment she saw her family. She was just using the strongest armor to disguise all her weaknesses. In fact, she would also be afraid, confused, and uneasy. "Brother," Xiangyi said in a soft and nasal voice, "I'm back." She tried her best to smile, but tears welled up in her eyes. Xiangyu pressed his cap down to cover his eyes. The young esports god said arrogantly and coldly, "You're back." Xiang Qi's eyes were red, and he said fiercely, "What are you crying for? You're so ugly." Xiang Li touched her little head gently and said, "Our tutu, it's been hard on you. We've been waiting for you." Xiang Chun was as taciturn as ever. He said two words expressionlessly. "Go ahead and cry." The cold and aloof man wiped Xiangyi's face with his sleeve. His tailored suit was stained with tears and snot, but he didn't even frown. Xiangyi noticed that Xiangyu, who had always been dressed in a formal suit and leather shoes, had long been wrinkled. Even his tie was loosely tied. He wasn't the only one. The others were also in a much more disheveled state than usual. Xiangyi immediately cried even harder. The girl's shoulders shook, as if she was about to cry all the tears she had in her life. Xiang Feng wailed too. "Little Xiangyi, you've suffered." Little Shiji silently distanced herself from her ex-husband. Xiao Naofu jumped into Xiangyi's arms and meowed, its icy blue eyes full of tears. "Stupid woman, you're finally back." This Huhu was worried to death. Xiangyi hugged the kitten tightly and smiled through her tears. "Why have you lost weight? Your stomach is so flat. I'll make you cat food when we get back. Cough, tiger food." "Everyone, how is this fat cat skinny?" Xiao Naofu obediently rubbed its head against Xiangyi's collarbone, then jumped to the ground. It strode over to Xiangyu's feet with its proud and noble cat-like steps and meowed in a cute and coquettish manner. "Xiangyu." It acted coquettishly towards me. Xiangyu, the furry maniac, picked up Xiao Naofu at lightning speed and instantly transformed from a cold and aloof person into a chatterbox. "Is our Fufu hungry? Do you want to drink milk? Can you eat some dried fish first? If you don't like it, I'll buy you something else. Okay?" Little Shiji, it turned out that I wasn't the only bootlicker. Xiangyu carried Xiao Naofu to look for food while Xiang Qi, Xiang Li, and Sanction also found excuses to leave, not forgetting to drag Xiangyu away with them. Xiang Feng was still struggling desperately. "Don't stop me. I want to hug little Xiangyi. I want to give her the warmth of a family member." Sanction glanced at him coldly. Xiang Feng was obedient. In the church, Xiang Yi and the man who was shielding her from the light were the only ones left. Xiang Yi looked up and made eye contact with Shi Sui's handsome face. The man's eyes were bloodshot, and there was green stubble on his smooth jawline. His voice was hoarse from the tobacco smoke, and he said in a low and gentle voice, "Sister E, welcome home." Chapter 840. Xiang Yi's tears were about to burst out again. Fortunately, both she and Shi Sui were good at controlling their emotions. Even if they were overwhelmed with emotions, they could still appear calm. "Yes, I'm back. Long time no see." After saying that, Xiang Yi thought of something. "What's the date today?" Shi Sui gave her a date. Xiang Yi was slightly stunned at first. Then she heaved a sigh of relief. "That's great. That's really great." The flow of time in the two worlds was different. She was so glad that she was in the fast world, while Shi Sui and her brother were in the slow world. Shi Sui sensed that something was wrong. He narrowed his eyes and asked, "How long have you been there?" Xiang Yi wanted to skip this question and change the topic. Shi Sui didn't ask much. He just stared at her, as if he wouldn't look away if she didn't give him an answer. In the end, Xiang Yi was defeated. She said softly, "More than a month." "Huh?" Unexpectedly, Shi Sui put his arm around the girl's slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Xiang Yi's face was pressed against his chest. His heartbeat was clear and strong. It was a little fast. What's wrong?" Shi Sui said hoarsely, "I'd rather be the one who spent more than a month with you." There was silence in the church. Xiang Yi looked up. Her eyes were as red as a rabbit's, but she still comforted Shi Sui. "I'm fine, really." She tiptoed and kissed Shi Sui's chin. She was so obedient and soft. Shi Sui looked at her without blinking. He suddenly tightened his grip on her waist. His tall figure loomed over her, not allowing her to escape. Xiang Yi didn't escape. Instead, she hugged his waist. In the director's room. Li Jianyu paced back and forth. "What's going on? Is Sister E really possessed?" That day, Shi Sui had only asked him and Wan Qing to help with the acting. She hadn't said anything else. Even though Li Jianyu boasted that he had watched countless horror movies, he was naturally easily frightened. When he saw Xiang Yi, who was like a completely different person, he was still frightened. Wan Qing's guess was deeper than his. She thought of the amnesia incident back then and felt that Xiang Yi might have lost her memory again, and her body might have been taken over by another personality. After all, the matter of transmigration was simply too unimaginable. A staff member rushed in. "Director Li, Sister Wan, you're back. Sister E is back." "What did you say?" Li Jianyu retorted. His body reacted faster than his mouth as he strode out. Wan Qing followed closely behind. Not only the two of them, but all the staff members in the production crew also rushed to the entrance to welcome Xiang Yi. When they saw that the little girl was safe and sound beside the car, many people cheered. Quick, 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 Sister E is back." Sister E, how are you feeling?" "Sister E, you've lost weight. You have to eat more to nourish your body." A group of people surrounded Xiang Yi and talked at once, showing concern for the little girl. Xiang Yi smiled faintly and said, "I've made everyone worry. I'm fine." Okay, all of you make way. You're all surrounding her so tightly that Sister E probably can't breathe fresh air. Everyone awkwardly made way. Li Jianyu pushed through the crowd and threw himself into Shi Sui's arms. "Shi Sui, ? Xiang Yi, ? Li Jianyu said. "Boo-hoo, I want to hug Sister E, but I don't think it's appropriate. Then I can only hug Sister Yi's man." Wan Qing, on the other hand, didn't have such concerns. She gave Xiang Yi a big hug, like a warm and intelligent big sister. "You're back, Sister E." Chapter 841. Xiangyi nodded obediently and couldn't help but rub her head against Wanqing's shoulder. Brother Yi, you're finally awake. That's great. That's great. Zhou Yan exclaimed in joy. He trotted toward Xiang Yi, followed by Su Rendong's striding figure. The two of them had postponed all their appointments in the short term in order to wait for Xiangyi to wake up. Xiangyi chatted with them for a while, and after Zhou Yan and Su Rendong confirmed that Xiangyi had recovered, they left. Zhou Yan stuck his head out of the car window and said, "Thank you for introducing us to the doctor, Brother Yi." In addition to the psychiatrist that she introduced to Su Rendong, Xiangyi also helped him make an appointment with a top-ear doctor. He owed her a huge favor. Xiangyi said gently, "You guys have to cooperate with the doctor and get well soon." Zhou Yan grinned. He didn't look like a legendary singer at all. Instead, he looked a little silly. "Brother Yi, I'll come to you again if I'm hungry for 3 days." Su Rendong pursed his lips. Although he had already sprayed the car with disinfectant spray, he still felt a little uncomfortable. He said, "See you later." Xiangyi said, "Have a safe trip. Come by often in the future." As the car gradually drove away, their friendship quietly lasted forever. In the living room, Xiangyi learned that the fans of Two Under One Roof had been waiting under the official Weibo account for several days, so she took the initiative to ask the production team to start a live stream. If it were any other director, they would definitely be eager to start a live stream to make money. However, the style of Two Under One Roof was like this. Li Jianyu said, "Don't start it, get some rest today." Xiangyi said, "I want to explain to the fans, don't let them worry about me." Li Jianyu said, "Okay, we'll do as you say, but we can only do it for an hour." Wanqing said, "Half an hour, 1 hour is too long." The cameraman, Old Zhang, said, Yes, we can't tire Sister Yi out." The others also chimed in, all of them doting on Xiangyi. She was really loved by everyone. After the staff adjusted the equipment, Wanqing used her official Weibo account to post the news of the upcoming live stream. The fans below were all in an uproar. "Is Sister Yi awake? How is our baby? Will his eye appear on screen? I'm so worried that I'm crying QAQ." The moment the live stream started, countless viewers flooded in. The camera shook twice and successfully focused on the two people sitting side by side on the sofa. Shi Sui changed into a clean white cotton shirt with a simple gray t-shirt inside. Xiangyi was wearing a white dress made of the same material. The hem of the dress was a lotus leaf design, which made the girl's calves look fair and delicate. Whether it was the color scheme or the material, they all formed a harmonious harmony. In the live stream, "That's great. Sister Yi is fine." Couple outfits. "It's a couple outfit. Same model, please." To the people in front, "Wake up." This design is obviously the work of Hades. It's probably one of a kind in the world. Xiangyi raised her left hand and waved. "Hello everyone, I'm Xiangyi." The moment she put down her hand, Shi Sui naturally held her little hand and held it tightly in her palm. She acted affectionately as if no one else was around. The tips of Xiangyi's ears turned slightly red, and she explained to everyone in a gentle voice that her body was no longer in danger. "Thank you for your concern, everyone. I'll take good care of myself." In the next second, she suddenly felt a weight on her shoulder. She turned her little face to the side, only to find that Shi Sui had fallen asleep on her shoulder. His eyelashes were thick and long, casting a faint shadow over his eyes. Holding her hand, he did not let go of her hand even a little bit. Chapter 842. Is he too tired? Xiangyi thought to herself. Shi Sui had been sleepless for several days in a row, so he was really tired now. He rarely relaxed in front of others. Xiangyi was the only exception. Xiangyi remained seated and carefully helped Shi Sui adjust his position so that he could sleep more comfortably. The girl put the microphone close to her mouth and lowered her voice. "Does anyone have any questions? In the live stream, fans of the untimely couple repeatedly died. I'm done. This is too sweet. Untimely couple. Beautiful love. What a perfect couple. Let's get married on the spot. Sister E, thank you for your concern. We will be holding our wedding in a few days. Welcome, everyone. In addition to the fans of the untimely couple, many people also asked Xiangyi questions. The usual questions were about her interests and hobbies, the recipe of a certain dish, but there were also unusual questions such as the solution to math problems, pet poop picker strategies, and divination. Xiangyi replied to as many people as she could. No matter how outrageous the questions were, the girl would answer them seriously. When she encountered questions that she didn't know how to answer, she would apologize to the audience and leave a good impression on them. It was almost time. Xiangyi wanted to answer more questions, but Li Jianyu said, "Okay, time's up. Sister E, you should get some rest." "I'll answer one more question. Just one." The girl raised a finger and said in a soft voice, as if she was acting coquettishly, "Who can stand this?" Father Fan, Li Jianyu, could stand it. He sternly refused Xiangyi's request. "I'll turn off the live stream right away. Now go to sleep with Shi Sui." Beside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Xiang brothers, who were too lazy to enter the live stream, cast cold glares at them one after another. In the live stream, all the viewers were spammed with comments such as, "Well done, son," and "Director Li is in danger, danger, danger." Li Jianyu wanted to cry, but had no tears. "No, I mean, both of you should go to sleep. It's just a literal meaning. Sister E, please don't misinterpret it." Xiangyi nodded. In order not to disturb Shi Sui, she carefully leaned against the sofa, closed her eyes, and fell asleep smoothly. In the blink of an eye, the little girl's breathing was even and shallow. She had actually fallen asleep. In fact, Xiangyi was just forcing herself to stay awake. Over the past month, she had spent a lot of effort in the game, and her mind had been very tense. Now that she was in front of Shi Sui and her family, she could finally let down her guard and fall asleep peacefully. Li Jianyu cut off the live stream right when Xiangyi and Shi Sui fell asleep. Thus, on this day, a few strange trending topics appeared. Hashtag sleep together, hashtag literally sleeping, hashtag round up how old is the child, hashtag. Of course, other than the fact that they were a couple, Xiangyi once again gained countless fans in just half an hour of interaction. The girls' IQ and EQ were impeccable. Even Sister Shi Sui had a big fan of hers, who posted sentimental essays. Time doesn't age, but Shi Sui doesn't give up V. All this time, I've been resistant to the idea of Shi Sui being in a relationship. It's that kind of feeling. You know that Xiangyi is very good. You know that she's fair-skinned, rich, and beautiful, but you still can't accept her. Some people say that you're jealous. I say that I'm worried. I'm worried that such a good person like him will fall in love with her. I'm worried that such a good person like him will give more than he gets. But today, I'm finally relieved, except for Sister Shi Sui. In this world, the only person who likes and cares about Shi Sui there's already Sister E. Red Heart. Chapter 843. This big fan's words resonated with many of the Shi Sui sisters. Yes, they didn't dislike Xiangyi. That feeling was probably similar to hearing their parents talk about other people's children. They acknowledged her excellence, but there was also a subtle resistance. However, gradually, that resistance seemed to have disappeared. The reason why they had changed their opinion of Xiangyi was not just because of the small fact that she let Shi Sui lean on her shoulder today. Instead, it was because of the subtle recognition that had accumulated over time. They finally understood that the relationship between Xiangyi and Shi Sui had never been one-sided. Neither of them was dependent on the other. On this day, Shi Sui sisters, who had always been arrogant, publicly expressed that they were barely able to make do with Xiangyi. They thought that Xiangyi was not bad. The spicy Tutu sisters were speechless. It was quite sudden. However, the spicy Tutu sisters didn't take this matter to heart. They did whatever they wanted and went to watch the videos of Sister E cooking, gardening, playing the zither, treating illnesses, and drawing talismans. The Shui sisters were speechless. Hey, we don't care about our pride anymore. Aren't you going to welcome us? Damn it. If you continue to talk to the spicy Tutu sisters, we will never eat spicy rabbit heads again. Wait a minute. Xiangyi's birthday is coming soon. Seeing that the spicy Tutu sisters were still acting as if nothing had happened, the Shui sisters broke their vow and earnestly reminded them on #SpicyTutu Your Tutu's birthday is coming soon. The spicy Tutu sisters' reaction was, oh. The Shui sisters were speechless. Don't you look at the personal information of your artists. They tried to impart their valuable support experience to the spicy Tutu sisters. For example, they could buy advertising spots in squares, subways, and public buses. For example, they could do public welfare, repair roads, repair elementary schools, plant trees, and rescue stray cats. Another example would be endorsements buying clothes, hand sanitizer, noodles, and snail powder. The spicy Tutu sisters replied calmly, a waste of money. Illegal fundraising. Can you buy it? The Shui sisters were speechless. That hurts. Xiangyi slept all the way until evening. When he woke up, his whole body felt refreshed after a good night's sleep. Shui was sitting next to her, reading the script in her hands. She seemed to have sensed her gaze and turned to look at her. Xiangyi rubbed her eyes, wiped the corners of her mouth, and combed her hair in a flurry. Because she had just woken up, her movements were slow by half a beat, making her look adorable. Where are my brothers? Xiangyi asked. The corners of Shui's lips curled up as he pinched her little face. They left. The light in Xiangyi's eyes dimmed. Did that do something again? Do they hate me again? The girl's voice was a little nasal, but she pretended to be indifferent. Don't overthink it. TSK, I promise to keep it a secret. Shui said. They went to the old mansion to prepare for your birthday celebration, and the staff members are also there. There should be a live broadcast. Xiangyi covered his mouth. You didn't say anything, so you didn't go against your principles. Shui chuckled softly, a gentle smile on her face. It's okay. Others can't do it, but Sister E is different. In front of Sister E, I can go against my principles. Xiangyi felt her ears start to burn again. She pinched them gently with her fingertips and suddenly thought of something. Then, tonight, are we the only two left at home? Chapter 844. The sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom. Xiangyi sat on the tatami, beside the floor-to-ceiling window. Her head was so hot that it was about to emit smoke. She was nervously tugging at the bunny ears of her stuffed toy, thinking about the conversation in the past 2 hours. Her ears turned even redder in embarrassment. Then, tonight, are we the only ones left at home? Shui replied with a faint as if he did not think much of it. What do you want to eat? I'll make it. Anything. They had a simple dinner, watched a movie, and drank some wine. Then he pretended to be drunk and dragged her back to his room. Xiangyi took a deep breath and told herself not to think about the content of the manga that Fu Yunyue showed her. She was not nervous. Creak. The bathroom door was pulled open. Xiangyi's first reaction was to hide under the coffee table. Fortunately, her rationality came online in time, and she did not do anything embarrassing. She struggled for a long time before coming up with the wording. Well, I don't think I'm that drunk. Why don't you go back? When she saw Shui's appearance, the latter half of her sentence was instantly stuck. Unlike the restrained and abstinent style of pajamas in the past, Shui was only wearing a pair of gray sweatpants today. The belt hung loosely, looking lazy and wanton. Looking up, it was a perfect and superior figure. His shoulders and back were broad, but his muscles were not exaggerated. His cold and fair abs were distinct, and two distinct V-lines snaked into his sweatpants. He held a towel with one hand to dry his hair, as if he did not hear Xiangyi's words. What did you say? Xiangyi's milky white face was super serious. I said I drank too much. Shi Sui chuckled softly, looking so charming and flirtatious. His little bunny, why was she so cute? Xiangyi continued to be super serious. I'm also drunk, very drunk, the kind that will go crazy. Shi Sui raised his eyebrows, his expression languid and leisurely as he drawled. It's okay, I'll let you trample on me. Whoosh! This time, Xiangyi couldn't take it anymore. She buried her head under the coffee table. Letting her do whatever she wanted to him was just too embarrassing. By the time Shi Sui dug a certain little rabbit out from under the table, the girl's ears had already turned red all the way to her fair neck. Why is your face so red? You have a headache? It's still all right. The two of them were so close that she could smell the sweet orange scent of Shi Sui. Thump, thump. Xiangyi swallowed her saliva, and her mind involuntarily started to wander off to the manga that Fu Yunyue had given her, not wearing clothes. Cough. She only went to take a look at the Liao out of the spirit of scientific research. I heard that exercise can promote alcohol metabolism. I'll dry your hair for you. The buzzing sound of the hairdryer rang in the room. Xiangyi's movements were gentle. She deliberately moved the hairdryer further away and carefully blew Shi Sui's hair. The man's hair was short, and he blew it dry quickly. It's done. Xiangyi turned around to put the hairdryer in. A pair of large hands grabbed her slender wrists from behind. Tutu. The same two words, but when Shi Sui said them, the feeling was different from when her brothers said them. You've finished metabolizing the alcohol. Xiangyi didn't even have time to reply before she heard the man's mocking voice again. Aren't you going to go crazy? Big brother is waiting for you. The girl lost her usual calmness and was embarrassed. I don't know how to. Shi Sui gently kneaded the soft flesh at the back of her neck. Be good. Big brother will teach you. Chapter 845. Xiangyi's eyelashes fluttered twice, and she asked in confusion, Can this be taught? The moment she finished speaking, the pair of big hands on the back of her neck moved down along her spine. Like small electric current flowers, they exploded at her nerve endings. Ugh! The girl didn't hold the hairdryer firmly in her hand, and it accidentally fell on the soft carpet. But no one cared. Xiangyi suddenly chickened out. I don't want to learn. Unfortunately, it was too late. The black-bellied wolf removed the disguise of abstinence, squinted his eyes, and swung the big tail behind him in satisfaction. The little rabbit was firmly held in his arms in an extremely domineering and possessive posture. The warm breath wrapped around the tip of her ear, spreading down little by little. The touch was wonderful and tugging at her heartstrings. Xiangyi's slender shoulders trembled slightly. You don't seem to be teaching it right. For example, her little uncle liked to climb trees when he was drunk, her fourth brother liked to hug and kiss furry toys when he was drunk, and her third brother would crazily act coquettishly when he was drunk, asking to be hugged and lifted high. Shi Sui's drunken teaching something was very wrong. Silly rabbit. The man's throat overflowed with a low chuckle, and his thin lips pressed against the girl's red collarbone. Big brother lied to you. Don't be afraid. The man's coaxing voice was husky, like a feather tickling the tip of her heart. Both of their breaths became hot. At this moment, the phone suddenly rang. Shi Sui glanced at it and saw that the caller ID was Xiang Feng. So she directly hung up. Just as she was about to continue drunken madness with the little rabbit, the phone began to buzz and vibrate nonstop. Shi Sui's temples faintly twitched, and she used the last of her patience to look at the screen. Fong Fong de Jida Li, Sui. Are you there? Fong Fong de Jida Li, urgent. It's very urgent. Shi Sui frowned. After all, they were good friends for many years, and she was worried that something had happened to him. So she replied with a question mark. Xiang Feng sent a voice message that was dozens of seconds long. Sui, I thought of a great gift idea. On little Xiangyi's birthday, I'll prepare a huge gift box for her. Then I'll lie inside it. When she opens the gift, she'll see me inside. Aren't you surprised? That wasn't the end of it. I was going to pretend to be dead inside and scare her into crying. Then I would sit up and make her smile through her tears, making her even happier. What do you think? Isn't it wonderful? After waiting for a long time, Xiang Feng didn't receive a reply, so he sent an emoji over in confusion. A notification popped up on the screen. Shi Sui from Tutu's family has activated friend verification. You're not her friend yet. Send a friend verification request first. You can only chat after the other party accepts the request. Xiang Feng, what did he do wrong? Why did he have to be so heartless to him? The atmosphere was interrupted. Shi Sui hesitated, wondering if she should let it go. Who would have thought? Xiangyi poked his arm. Her voice was soft and trembling slightly. Don't you want to continue? Like a fuse of turbulent emotions, Shi Sui's atoms apple-bobbed. He lifted the hair on the girl's cheek and tucked it behind her ear. Her jet-black hair twined and loosened around his fingertips. It was a warm and ambiguous action. Their eyes met, and they moved closer bit by bit. Suddenly, there was a series of scratching sounds on the door, accompanied by Xiao Naofu's anxious cries. Shi Sui, ignore it. Xiangyi hesitated, but she pushed Shi Sui away. I'll go see if it's hungry. Shi Sui, very good. The sterilization plan can be restarted. Smiley face. Chapter 846. Xiangyi quickly opened the door, while Xiao Naofu scurried towards her. What's the matter? Xiangyi squatted down and picked up the kitten. Xiao Naofu sobbed aggrievedly and used its meaty little paw to point at the location of the cat villa. Xiangyi immediately sensed that something was amiss. Little Shiji, who had always been inseparable from Xiao Naofu, was nowhere to be seen. She walked over and saw a tablet in little Shiji's nest. She vaguely had a hunch. The screen lit up to see that there was an edited letter on it. The letter was divided into 3 parts. To Sister E, thank you, Sister E, for taking care of me these past few days. The food you cook is really delicious. It's the most delicious food I've ever eaten in all the worlds I've transmigrated to. To Shi Sui, there's nothing much to say. Don't bully Xiao Naofu. I'll protect it. To Xiao Naofuam, by the time you read this letter, I should have already left. Don't be sad. I left because my mission has been completed. I'll come back to look for you when I go back to deal with some matters. By the way, the main system said that your reincarnation failed because of Ling Ye's interference, and it will compensate you soon. While I'm away, you have to eat well and drink milk well. Don't always steal canned food and dried fish. You have to sleep in the nest and cover yourself well with the blanket. You can sleep anywhere you want in my nest. It's very clean. By the way, if you miss me, you can look at #WesternSuited Couples posts. There are photos and videos of us together. It's okay if you don't miss me. Goodbye, Xiao Naofu. After reading it, Xiangyi sighed. Although she knew that this day would come sooner or later, she felt a little melancholic. Xiao Naofu nestled in her arms and quietly wiped its tears. Xiangyi forced herself to cheer up and comforted Xiao Naofu. We have to believe in little Shiji. It will definitely come back, and we'll be able to see each other then. Xiao Naofu, meow, meow. What if little Shiji doesn't come back? Who else can it bully? Who else would be willing to be bullied by it? The more Xiao Naofu thought about it, the more upset he felt. He sobbed and cried nonstop. Xiangyi was affected by it, and her eyes also turned red. She packed up little Shiji's bowl and toys, and placed them in a cardboard box, after which she wrote Little Shiji on it. When little Shiji comes back, shall we open the box together? Xiao Naofu wept and nodded. The top of its head was suddenly rubbed twice by a warm hand. Xiao Naofu smelled the familiar scent of a dog-like man, and its fur instantly exploded. However, the D*MN man didn't talk about sterilization or cat meat hot pot today. Instead, he gently coaxed her. Kitty, I won't bully you anymore. Xiao Naofu's ears perked up. Really? Suddenly, she didn't feel so sad anymore. Shi Sui said calmly, You're already a grown-up kitten, so you have to learn to be mature, independent, and strong. However, that's definitely nothing to Xiao Naofu. You're the most mature, independent, and strong, aren't you? Xiao Naofu felt giddy after hearing the D*MN man's words, as if it had drunk a few kilograms of fake alcohol. It raised its chin and meowed proudly. Humph, I'm just that outstanding. In the next second, the D*MN man grabbed the back of its neck mercilessly and threw it into the cat mansion. Kata! The door of the cage was locked. Good night, little Shiji. Xiao Naofu? Damn you, D*MN man. Chapter 847. This time, Xiangyi was carried back to the room by Shi Sui. And in front of Xiao Naofu roared ferociously. Damn it! Why does this scumbag feel like he's taking revenge on me? In the bedroom, Shi Sui carried Xiangyi with one hand and locked the door with the other. Double security. That stupid cat shouldn't be able to enter. Put me down. It was too embarrassing to be carried on his shoulders. This was an experience that Xiangyi had never experienced before. The man's voice was languid. Listen to Tutu. Xiangyi thought he would put her down by the window. She had carefully decorated that area for a long time. The tatami mats, the couch, and the small coffee table were all carefully selected. There were also all kinds of soft pillows, cute dolls, and small ornaments. She didn't expect that Shi Sui would place her on the bed. The girl panicked and subconsciously wanted to escape, but the man grabbed her wrist and easily pulled her back. What are you doing? The little bunny trembled and quickly rolled up the thin quilt. Shi Sui looked at her with a faint smile. What do you want to do by tricking your brother here? Hit the nail on the head. Xiangyi felt guilty and didn't dare to look at him. She said vaguely, Is that so? Why don't we talk somewhere else? It feels weird on the bed. Are you scared now? Shi Sui raised his eyebrows. Do you still dare to do it in the future? Xiangyi said honestly. Yes, Shi Sui was so angry that he laughed. He simply lifted the thin quilt and lay down beside her. Xiangyi, no. Shi Sui said, Okay, go ahead. I heard you. Xiangyi. The little girl pulled up the quilt and covered half of her face. Although her brothers doted on her, they abided by the principle that men and women should keep their distance from her since she was young. She didn't have many friends, and Jiang Jojo was very busy practicing the zither and going to school. The two of them would occasionally meet, but they couldn't fall asleep at all and would talk all night long. Shi Sui was considered the first person she had slept with in a serious manner. How have you been in the past month? Shi Sui asked in the quiet room. Xiangyi picked out some interesting things to tell him, such as helping Brother Fatty attract customers with food, making all kinds of accessories for Fu Yunyue and Little White, and fighting with Fu Zichuan with a mecha. The girl had only mentioned it casually, but Shi Sui had grasped the main point very accurately. Fu Zichuan. He's Fu Yunyue's brother. He's extremely powerful, His martial prowess is high, his mecha piloting is first-rate, and he even knows how to command an interstellar fleet in battle, she rattled on, and on about Fu Sichuan's good points. Caught off guard, she met Shi Sui's deep eyes and instantly realized that something was wrong. Before she could explain herself, the hand around her waist suddenly tightened after an unknown period of time. The girl lay on the bed and fell asleep out of exhaustion. Shi Sui wrapped his arms around her slender waist and sneered softly, "You're just a little bunny who has evil intentions but no guts." Thinking of Fu Sichuan, whom she mentioned, he pressed the tip of his tongue against the roof of his mouth. She actually praised another man. He was just displeased. It was breakfast time the next day. Xiangyi felt her back ache, and she was even more tired than cooking 100 dishes. On the other hand, Shi Sui was refreshed and squinted his eyes like a sly old fox. "Shall I massage your back?" "No, no." Xiangyi waved her hand repeatedly to turn him down. Coincidentally, a call came in and she pressed the answer button. "Miss Xiangyi, there's someone outside who wants to see you." She claims to be Shi Sui's mother. The following words are free of charge. I wrote a bug previously. Let me correct it. Shi Sui's father is recuperating abroad, and her mother is a strong career woman who has a conflict with Shi Sui. Please, Moon, vote, duck. Good night.